Welcome to Miami and the 1981 Orange Bowl. The Seminoles of Florida State, the Sooners of Oklahoma. The Oklahoma Sooners, dressed in white, representing the Big Eight for a fourth consecutive year in the Orange Bowl, set to kick off. And there is their barefoot kicker from Dallas, Texas, Michael Keeling. He's also their placement specialist. There's some real speed back deep for Florida State. Number 44 from Griffin, Georgia, sophomore Ricky Williams is back deep.
See, Don, both sides do have a little speed.
Both go. And they're both up for this one, as it's a rematch of the 1980 Orange Bowl. You may recall that Florida State went out in front early in that game, and then the Sooners came back and won it 24-7. The kickoff, Williams took it in play, so he's got to bring it out. To the 10, out to the 12-yard line, and that's about all, as the Sooners cover nicely. And Florida State goes on offense, 1st and 10. At quarterback, a good mobile throwing quarterback, Rick Stockstill. He's a junior. His fullback is Mike Whiting. The best runner is tailback Sam Platt at 600-yard games. Hardest Johnson, one wide receiver, caught 9 for touchdowns. Kurt Unglaub is the other. Sam Childers will be the tight end for the Seminoles. They've got a big offensive blocking wall. Set to go. Here's the pitch back. Running with the ball is Sam Platt. The Sooners don't give him much. The Florida State offensive line is as big as Oklahoma's, and they're both pro size. Tom Brannon's the left tackle at 260. Lee Adams the left guard. John Madden is down over the ball at center. A couple of real standouts on the right side. Greg Futch and an All-American player, Ken Lanier. He's the best offensive lineman for the Seminoles. Both teams coming in with 7-game win streaks. Handoff on a 2nd down and 5 play. Running with the ball is Sam Platt. He gets across the 20 out to about the 24-yard line. It looks like he has enough for the 1st down. It's Keith Gary, the left tackle for the Sooners, knocked him down. They were worried about him, John, coming into the game. Sam Platt suffered a mild shoulder separation against Florida in the last regular season game. But he's all right. You see the season he had, he would have had 1,000 yards and he'd been able to play the full game against Florida.
Well, it must have meant it, because when you have a mild shoulder separation and you're a running back, that's what you use most to defend yourself, and it must be well or he wouldn't be playing. Certainly not running the way he did.
They go right back to Sam Platt on a 1st and 10 play from the 23-yard line. Sam Platt takes the ball across the 25-yard line out close to the 29. The Sooners are big and quick on defense also. Steve Whaley's the left end. Keith Gary, a big defensive tackle. The middle guard is Johnny Lewis. And the right tackle, regarded as the best defensive lineman, 96 Richard Turner. The Sooners set up on defense now. 2nd down and 5 for Florida State. Stockstill yet to go to the pass, goes right back to the run. And with the ball is Sam Platt. This time working into the right side of the Sooner defense. Sam Platt takes the ball out to the 33-yard line. The backers for Oklahoma, number 50, Riley, he's from Miami. And Mike Coast, he was the leading linebacker tackler. Very aggressive players. Darryl Sanji's at the left corner. Ken Sitton playing the right corner. Jay Jimerson, one safety position. Basil Banks at another. They're going to make some changes in that defensive secondary of Oklahoma, possibly. They've had some injuries. They've also had some injuries to their wide receivers.
Short distance, so you'll have a 1st down. Okay. There we go. 3rd down.
Clock was running.
Yeah, thank you.
Sam Platt's been the only carrier in the game so far. Has run the ball 4 times for Florida State. He's picked up 20 yards so far. See Barry Switzer's remarkable record. Oklahoma, the winningest college team of the 70s. He took over in '73. His 8th year at the top at Oklahoma. 8 years they've been in bowl games. 8 years they've won or shared the Big 8 Conference Championship. Twice they've been national champions. On a short yardage play, Stockstill calls his own number, takes it right in to the Oklahoma middle guard and gets the 1st down. So Florida State, which last year, John, could not run the ball against Oklahoma, is doing all right early.
Yeah, let's remember that when we talk about speed, we talk about size for Oklahoma, but when we talk about the offensive line for the Florida State Seminoles, these guys are averaging about 250, 253. They've got fine speed, they coordinate very well, and they put together 2 good-looking 1st downs.
On 1st down and 10, Sam Platt again gets the call for Florida State. He's knocked down by Mike Coast. Bobby Bowden's a folk hero up in Tallahassee, Florida, now in his 5th year. His career record, he came there from West Virginia. He said when he first went to Florida State, things were pretty tough. They were 0-11 7 years ago before he came in. He said they used to lose once in a while, like once a week. That's all gone now. And Florida State is one of the powers in college football, ranked number 2 in the nation. Stockstill keeping it on the ground now, has a long yardage play. 2nd down and 11. Over the middle he goes to his tight end Childers, and Childers moves the ball ahead, gets it out to the 39-yard line. Mike Riley made the knockdown for Oklahoma, but Florida State moves it out.
Don, let's give Stockstill a little credit. He wanted to go to the wide side. You notice they've got a man in motion. He's trying to get somebody open in his own defense. Oklahoma's playing it man-to-man when they go into a slot. He comes off to Childers, who's been on a little delay pattern. In order to pick him up on the first pass play of a game, it shows you're ready to play. 1-for-1's a way to start.
3rd down and 5 now. Here's a flat pass. Oklahoma has it hemmed in, and the Sooners make the play behind the line of scrimmage. On 3rd and 5. Hardis Johnson, the wide receiver who took the flat pass, is knocked down for a 5-yard loss. So the Florida State first possession of this game is stopped, and the ball goes over to the Sooners for the first time on a punt. Nobody has a better kicking game than Florida State. They've got 2 All-Americans. Their punter is Ron Stark. He's averaging over 45 yards a punt. He was named first-team All-American in 2 polls. So was the place kicker Bill Capice. Stark, a decathlete from Minnesota, booms it downfield. The ball is taken by Jay Jimerson inside his 20. He's got it broken for the moment. Jimerson coming across the 30 as the full cartwheel and is down outside the 35-yard line at about the 36. Ron Stark, the punter, got him himself. So Stark's first punt of the night, 48 yards, the return of 15 yards. And we'll be back at the 1981 Orange Bowl after this. With John Brody, this is Don Criqui back at the 1981 Orange Bowl. Florida State going on defense for the first time. Bob Trumpy is also with us tonight, down on the sideline. A perspective from down there we'll be getting to shortly. Oklahoma, its first play from scrimmage, goes to the run right up the middle. The Sooners have the great speed in the backfield. Someone described them as being like, on the snap of the ball, quarter horses breaking out of the gate. Very quick. J.C. Watts leads the way. He's at quarterback, MVP in the 1980 Orange Bowl. A freshman from Miami, George Rhymes, averaging 7.7 a carry as one runner. David Overstreet, a great blocker, is the other, in the fullback, Stanley Wilson. He took the first handoff for the night. It's 2nd down and 8 now for Florida State. Defense, Oklahoma's offense on the attack as J.C. Watts rolls wide and gets outside the 40-yard line. Florida State thinks they have the football, and the official concurs, and so the first major break of this game, the high-risk offense, is caught. Jarvis Coursey got the ball for Florida State, and the Seminoles have it back.
I'll tell you what, Don, it wasn't a high-risk offense that cost them a turnover on that particular play. That was excellent defensive pursuit. That's hitting at the point of attack. You get your defensive backs. If you saw Mike Montesor at that time, he jumped right up at the line of scrimmage. There was no play ever developed. He forced the ball loose. The Seminoles get it at the 43-yard line early in the first quarter.
Sooners troubled by fumbles all season long. And now the ball is to Florida State. Sam Bland runs the ball, gets it down close to the 41-yard line. Knockdown is made after a gain of only 2 yards. Oklahoma's fumbled at least once in every game in the last 5 years, except one against Iowa State last year. First 5 games this year, they fumbled 36 times and lost to 21, but they've cut down on that in the last 6 games. They fumbled only 13.
Remember, most of the fumbles happen because they run a lot laterally. They pitch the ball around an awful lot. It's always in the air, but it's always on a running play. That one was caused by a defensive play.
The pitch back to Platt. There's another big defensive play by Oklahoma. Steve Whaley coming up from the left end. A junior from Cleveland, Oklahoma. And Sam Platt trying to go wide is cut down. It'll bring up 3rd and 11. There was a loss of about 3 yards on the play.
I'll tell you, Don, over the course of the year, Whaley's had 76 tackles. He's made 5 already tonight, and it's only in about 8-9 plays.
Very active linebackers. Whaley's one of the best, so are the interior linebackers, Riley and Post. And now with 3rd down 11 coming up, we'll probably see Stockstill firing. He can go deep. Rick Stockstill deep. Here comes the blitz. He runs away from it, but he doesn't run away from the Sooners, and more lost yardage. Stockstill got back to the 46-yard line and lost 3 more.
You talk about a blitz. That wasn't only a blitz, Don. It was a safety blitz, a weak safety blitz. He got there a little late, but there was such good penetration on Stockstill he couldn't do anything with the ball.
It is a great night, Miami. Temperature 64 degrees at kickoff. Clear and just right as the Oklahoma Sooners now send back Jimerson to await the second punt of Ron Stark. Rigarly hit his first one 48 yards. The NCAA in assessing college schedule says Florida State played the toughest one in the country this year. Stark, the All-American punter, puts it down inside the 10. It'll be down inside the 5. So the Seminoles get the All-American effort from a guy they expected from game after game, Ron Stark. A 42-yard punt that's down at the 3. The Sooners have it back, but they're in a hole. And Oklahoma will go back on offense, so we come back to the 1981 Orange Bowl.
Two things for you, gentlemen. First of all, the Oklahoma Sooners have played one football game in the last 5 weeks. That wishbone needs timing. They've already put the ball on the ground once. For the Florida State Seminoles, a Bobby Bowden coached Florida State Seminole football team has never won a football game here in the Orange Bowl. They lost last year to the Oklahoma Sooners, and the Miami Hurricanes beat them so far this year. But this is the Orange Bowl.
Surely is. Barry Switzer's been here an awful lot, Bob. He's taken his team here regularly the last 4 years now. He's 3-1 in the Orange Bowl. Beaten by Arkansas, you may recall, back in '78, but he's won the last 2 years as Sooners have. Oklahoma comes out of running from the 3-yard line. Stanley Wilson, the fullback, comes up the middle. Monk Montesort, the free safety, came up to make the play, but Oklahoma gets out of trouble to a degree. Oklahoma doesn't throw often, only about 7 times a game, but their average completion is for 26 yards. The tight end Forrest Valora has caught only 5 balls, but he averages 30 yards a catch. Steve Rhodes, one of the wide receivers, he's troubled by a hamstring pull. Louis Oubre is an All-American tackle. Terry Crouch is just as big at 275. Bill Bechtold, Von Key, and Ed Culver. The Sooners will tell you this is the strongest part of their team. Here's a penalty marker down as Oklahoma goes back to the run. Jarvis Coursey makes the play.
Too soon. Said the red captain. Red captain. If you take the play, they're going to have 3rd down and about 3 inches. If you take the penalty, it'll be 2nd down and half the distance to the goal. All right.
This is the first time, incidentally, that officials have been mic'd in a college bowl game.
7.5.
And here are the ones that are mic'd. The veteran referee Gene Calhoun working the Orange Bowl. He's worked all the big ones. The orange, the rose, the cotton and the sugar. An attorney from Madison, Wisconsin.
Don't be leaning back here.
So you get a good perspective on what goes on.
Back in motion forward before the snap. Repeat the down.
Mike Weisman, can you hear me?
Barry Switzer looks on. The Sooners now after the penalty assessment against them. 2nd down and 9. Running with the ball is J.C. Watts. He will pitch it back when it seems like everyone's closed him off. Bowden says he's taken the wishbone an extra dimension. He'll take it all the way down the field, 25 yards, and pitch back. The defense of Florida State, #1 in the country against scoring, giving up only 7.7 points a game. Arthur Scott, Mark Masick, Ron Simmons, a consensus All-American, Gary Futch, and Jarvis Coursey, the defensive lineman. A couple of great linebackers in Gorowski and Reggie Herring. They keyed the defense. But last year, it was the Florida State defense that cracked behind the wishbone under its pressure. J.C. Watts pitches back, and there is the freshman Buster Rhymes, who set an Oklahoma freshman rushing record. He's from Miami. The whole world wanted him. Barry Switzer told him, hey, you'll be back home every year at Christmas for a whole week because we play in the Orange Bowl every year. We're going to win the conference with you, and off he went to Oklahoma. Oklahoma, as they say, John, they lost Billy Sims this year. Graduated, went to pro football, but they don't have to rebuild, they reload. Loaded with personnel. Now the Sooners are going to have to punt the ball, and Gary Henry is back deep for Florida State. Michael Keeling is the punter for Oklahoma. It's It's a long spiral downfield. Florida State will come out of this with good field position. Oh, Henry lost the ball and does well to fall on it. Back at his 43, and he could not even able to take it to the Oklahoma side of the field. A 42-yard punt. A loss of 5 yards on the return. So the Seminoles of Florida State get the ball for the 3rd time in the 1st quarter. No score yet. We're back in Miami. There's no score on the board. Oklahoma number 4, Florida State number 2 in the country. Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson will be following your local news tonight. The Tonight Show tonight will feature Marie Osmond and Charles Nelson Riley. The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson following local news on these NBC stations. Right now it's the 1981 Orange Bowl. Stockstill rolls out. He's got yardage and plenty of it. He's ahead for a 1st down. Rick Stockstill takes the ball, cuts back upfield, gets across midfield. He gained 11 and got a 1st down for Florida State.
Don, there's a problem. Rick Stockstill, the fellow who's carried him all year long, has had a little problem with his Achilles tendon in practice. It didn't look to bother him early in the ball game. When he gets tackled, watch him get up. It looks like he gets hit. It's a situation they didn't want to find themselves in. When he goes back to the huddle, you can get those bruises and bumps warmed up, but if your Achilles tendon is bothering you, you cannot set up, you cannot put anything on the ball, and it'll be very tough for him to operate.
They operated very nicely there, got ahead for a Florida State 1st down to the 47-yard line of Oklahoma. There's no score on the board, 6:10 to play in the 1st quarter. It's been a great week in Miami, terrific weather, and any of you who have ever experienced the Orange Bowl, it is a terrific event. A lot of great people down here get behind it and labor of love. It's been a celebration time in Miami for 47 years now. Handoff goes up the middle. Michael Whiting gets the call, and he follows some power blocking and takes the ball down to the 41-yard line. Richard Turner, a 250-pound defensive tackle, made the stop for the Sooners.
And they did something that not many teams have been able to do, Don, and that they ran right at Richard Turner. He's very active. He's also very good at the point of attack, and if you're going to make a living, not many teams try his act.
Yeah, they like him. They say his technique, he's a very polished player, very tough to block. Here's Stockstill rolling out. He throws and he completes it. Coming out of the backfield was Michael Whiting. Mike Coase, one of the linebackers, knocked him down, but again, the Seminoles get ahead for 1st down yardage as the ball's advanced inside the 35-yard line.
Watch your hands over here now. Watch your hands.
Umpire stepping in there. Tell the fellas to watch their hands. Don't get caught holding, guys. They must be getting close to it. 1st down and 10 now. No score on the board, but Florida State with its best position inside the 35. Stockstill takes a look deep. Now he's got to run and can't get out of trouble. The big Sooners were coming. Johnny Lewis, the middle guard, put the pressure on. Richard Turner caught him. So there's a loss back to the 40-yard line now. It's going to bring up 2nd down and about 16.
Don, talking to Barry Switzer before the ball game early in the week, he mentioned the only game he really felt they were poorly prepared for was when they played Stanford, which is primarily a passing football team. Florida State is a well-balanced football team. He said he really thinks the coaches were as responsible as anyone for giving them wrong assignments, things to do that they really shouldn't have been in a position to do. They've been in 5 different defenses tonight, and nobody's been open.
They go right up the middle now on a 2nd down and 16 play. They go to Ricky Williams, a sophomore back from Griffin, Georgia. Whaley made the knockdown at the 30, so he got back all the lost yardage. It'll be 3rd down and 6 now.
The offensive line is getting off on the ball so well. You can see Ricky Williams gets a chance to take his pick. When the offensive line surge wins at the point of attack, at the line of scrimmage, it gives it back an option. He found 3 or 4 in this drive. He's found a couple early in the game, and they're moving it pretty well.
At time, Johnny Lewis, the middle guard, shot the gap, fended off the blocker. Florida State coming off the ball so well in the offensive front, but not there. It's Johnny Lewis, a junior, came through to make the play. It's going to bring up 4th down.
33, left hash mark.
Got a long-range kicker on Florida State, Bill Capice. He set an NCAA kick scoring record for a season, 104 points. Hit 22 of 30 field goals. Learned the trade from Garo Yepremian. He went to the same high school. Capice is about to try this field goal as Don Shula's son. Spent a lot of time at the Dolphin training camp as a ball boy. That time he came in a little low, went under the crossbar. It's no good. So Capice comes up empty on the first scoring attempt of the night. A long field goal try, and the Sooners take over the football. They'll get it at their 33-yard line.
Don, you know, people have mentioned that, all right, that was a 49-yard try. Very few players can kick that off of a carpet surface. On the grass surface, it makes it even that much tougher. Capiz might be the best kicker in the country as a place kicker, and Ron Stark is recognized as being the best punter in the country, so their kicking game in tight games has meant so much to the Seminoles. It's kept them in a position so their defense can keep teams to 7.7 a game. Now, that you have to have an outstanding kicking game to be able to do that defensively.
And the kicking game has featured 2 All-Americans. It has been a standout part of the second-ranked team in the country. Now Oklahoma starts to crack the wishbone. J.C. Watts with a pitch back. And George Buster Rhymes takes it across the 35-yard line out to about the 37. Bobby Butler, an All-American cornerback, made the knockdown for Florida State.
You talk about how tough it is playing defensive tackle and linebacker. I know if I was a defensive linebacker, I'd have tackled Stanley Wilson. I didn't know Buster Rhymes had the ball until he was hit for a 3-yard loss, and I'm sitting up here in row 50. So you can imagine how difficult it is when you're down on the field. And most of the defenses are played by specific assignments. They give 2 or 3 people a responsibility to hit each one of those backs.
Gain of 5. It's going to be second down and 5. Here is J.C. Watts keeping it himself. J.C. takes it across the 40 out to the 42. He is the hub of the Oklahoma offense. J.C. Watts, a senior from a great football town in Oklahoma, has produced some superior Oklahoma players. You follow Oklahoma, the home of the Selman brothers. J.C. Watts is a leader. He's fast. He can throw. Doesn't throw often, but when he does, his average completion is 26 yards.
Yeah, speaking of J.C. Watts, some people throw the ball for ball control. And when they don't throw it very often, some people say they throw the ball to keep your defense honest. When Oklahoma throws the ball, they throw it to score touchdowns. Now, they have the longest per throw average of any team I've ever heard of, even though they've only thrown 70 passes.
Third down and 2, and the Sooners go right at Florida State. Power offense again. The Seminoles. They're right off the ball and driving ahead. Stanley Wilson might be close enough for the first down. It's the first Oklahoma first down. That's how it stood in 1980. Oklahoma really ripped things up in the last year. In the second half, they got it going after Florida State took an early lead. It's now first down and 10 for the Sooners, and J.C. Watts hands off. Going up the middle is Stanley Wilson, sophomore fullback from Carson, California. They're young and they are tough, these Oklahoma backs. So much speed. Stanley Wilson, known as a blocker. They averaged, actually, it's interesting, John, last year with Billy Sims, they averaged 351 yards a game rushing. This year without him, they didn't have the great rusher in one person, but they averaged 360 yards a game.
Yeah, they run one in, run the other one out. It doesn't seem to matter who has the ball. Their offensive line is so strong with guys like Lewis Obry and Terry Crouch that they're gonna make holes for any back.
Seminole fan. A lot of them here. Second down and 4. Across midfield. Gang tackling by Florida State. Ron Simmons, number 50, led the way. Back down is made on Buster Rhymes.
Let me know when you go be in that triangle defense so I can go in.
You know what he said? He's talking to the defensive lineman, Don.
You need one.
He wants to know what defenses are going to be in so he doesn't get run over himself. It's not a safe spot when you're an umpire behind the defensive line.
Umpire stands right in there behind the backers. It all comes at him. Pitch back. Running high with the ball is David Overstreet. He's inside the 40, and one of the fastest Sooners, David Overstreet, in a foot race down the far sideline. And now Oklahoma breaks a big play. Chet Winters led the blocking. And David Overstreet, who's known for his blocking, they say that they show films to young backs how to block. David Overstreet.
Well, when you see an Oklahoma offense get out around the corner, you notice real good blocking at the point of attack by the back. Bobby Butler, the cornerback, comes over a little late. Mike Bonasor overruns the play a little, trying to pursue. And when that happens, Katie barred the door. That's where Oklahoma breaks 5 or 6 a game.
It can happen fast with the Sooners. They can go the distance in one play on the ground. And now they're starting to challenge first and 10. Rolling out is J.C. Watts. Look at him dance. Looks for a block. He gets one. That was Rhymes. And then he works his his way ahead inside the 15-yard line. A lot of east and west running, but then he cut upfield and got almost 5.
And Don, you notice when they pick up big ground gainers, they don't waste a lot of time in their huddle. They got their second play off after they'd gained 45, 40 yards. They were on the line of scrimmage, ready to go. And boy, if you don't think that gets a defense wondering what the heck's going on, and they better get grouped very swiftly.
Well, it was a quick first quarter. They kept it on the ground. They ran the game clock. Nobody put any points up. But when we come back, Oklahoma's going to be challenging for the first score of the game. The Goodyear Blimp Enterprise, high above the Orange Bowl in this 1981 matchup. The Goodyear Blimp, captained by Patrick Henry from Parsons, West Virginia. Right now, the Oklahoma Sooners have the ball, second down and 5 inside the 15-yard line of Florida State. There is no score on the board as we're ready to open the second quarter. J.C. Watts calls his own number. He's stung hard as he gets to the 12-yard line. J.C. Watts knocked down well short of the first down. Jarvis Coursey, number 64 at left end, made the stop. Last year, J.C. Watts was the most valuable player of the 1980 Orange Bowl. Rushed for 121 yards, broke one for 61 yards and a touchdown. Led the way as the Sooners cracked the whip. Went for 411 yards rushing in that game.
And Jarvis Coursey is one of those who has worked into a first-string berth and played very well at defensive end, and I think it's an extremely tough position, particularly against a wishbone team.
Last year, Bobby Bowden said, John, that they thought they knew how to stop the wishbone, but they found they were a step too slow. Oklahoma's so fast. This time, Florida State hems it in, and the knockdown is made for a loss. On a 3rd and 3 play from the 13, the knockdown is made back at the 17-yard line. Jarvis Coursey having a big game for the Seminoles at left end. Coming to either side, makes the stop.
Paul Piroski got in there too. You know, there's no secret to playing great defense. The Seminoles have had 2 exceptional interior linebackers in Herring and Piroski. They try to give them an opportunity to get after the ball carrier. This time you see Jarvis Coursey and Piroski both on Watts at the same time.
Michael Kaling trying a field goal attempt now. 34-yard attempt. Got it plenty long, but he's wide of the mark. So both sides now have come up with field goal attempts that have been wide. And with 13:31 left to play in the first half, there's no score on the board at the 1981 Orange Bowl. When we come back, the Seminoles take over the football. First and 10. This is Don Criqui with John Brody and Bob Trumpy back at the 1981 Orange Bowl, Miami, Florida. 13:31 left to play in the first half. Oklahoma has been wide on a field goal attempt. Florida State has missed their first attempt. There's no score on the board. Florida State with the ball first and 10 at their 20. Stockstill, hands up. Second back throw is Ricky Williams. And Williams, not big, 170 pounds, breaks it across the 30 out to the 34-yard line. He got a first down. Let's go down now to Bob Trumpy.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. The defense of the Florida State Seminoles, outstanding. Reggie Herring linebacker. Is this a lot less a team without Billy Sims?
No, they got the same speed. The hell with Billy Sims. They don't need them. They got plenty of great backs. They're giving us enough trouble. We're just trying to stick together and swarm as a defense. That's what we've been doing all year, and we're successful.
And use the sideline for J.C. Watts?
Corner that son of a gun in. That's all we need to do. Just hustle and pursue.
Reggie Herring, Florida State linebacker.
Now it's Florida State's offense on the move. Going ahead with the ball is Ricky Williams, and Williams doing nicely. Gets the ball out across the 40 in a first and 10 carry. He got about 7 or 8 yards on that play. Basil Banks and Orlando Flanagan combined on the stop for the Sooners.
It's funny when you talk about the attacks of past defenses and past offensive grades. So nobody cares. It's how we're doing today, folks. They don't play Billy Sims. They play people that are awfully good with white jerseys on. They're just trying to do all they can to stuff them.
Only the numbers change in Oklahoma. That speed is always there. It's second down and 2 now for Florida State from the 41. Up the middle. Sooners don't give up much. Mike Whiting carried the ball for Florida State. Very close to a
Step
first
away
down.
from the ball now, Wing. Look. Step away from the ball, please. I got it. Go get the chain.
Bring out the sticks. Check this thing out.
I think you're short. Oh, little man back there.
Of course, the first time that the officials have been mic'd in a college bowl game.
You get your head up here.
I've heard a lot of it, Don.
I know what we're talking about.
You are a foot short. How's this? Right there? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you. Inbounds Weiner, Gene.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Coach Bowden. Our producer tonight for NBC is Mike Wiseman. Our director, John Gonzalez. And John and all of us at NBC want to wish the very best Happy New Year to his dad, John Gonzalez Sr., who's watching this game at Valley Hospital in Ridgewood, New Jersey. 12-10 left to go in the first half. No score on the board. Florida State and Oklahoma, the numbers 2 and 4 teams in the nation. Stockstill, the quarterback for the Seminoles. He's thrown for 15 touchdowns this year. On a third and less than a yard play, Stockstill puts his head down and goes right up the middle. Rick Stockstill played for his dad in high school at Fernandina Beach, Florida. Father Joel Stockstill was his coach. Mike Riley made the stop, so Florida State moves the ball out now to the 45-yard line.
Don, you notice that the offensive structure of the Seminoles is rare, and that they move their offensive guard and tackle to both sides. They play weak side and strong side. Rather than lining them up the same place at the set of the ball, they change them around.
Here's a pitch back, going nicely with the ball and going wide is Ricky Williams. He's not big, John, 5'10", 170, but he thinks big, runs big, and he goes right up the middle whenever they go in the call. And now Williams takes the ball to about the 48-yard line.
He's run pretty big tonight, and in alluding to the offensive line, the people on the weak side of the line will always be their what they consider maybe their two top offensive tackle and guard combinations. They've got a couple of kids like, you know, Fultz and Futchin and Lanier that do a job for them.
They've been getting off the ball well. Here's a handoff on a 2nd down and 8 play. A penalty marker comes in from the umpire.
I'll move the flag, holding. I'll move the flag to right here. 58.
They got the center on Florida State, John Madden.
58. Yeah.
White captain, please. Take it back. All right, bring me the ball.
15, Gene.
Give me the ball. Bunny.
Back out, it's on the 45.
So a big assessment now goes against Florida State.
Is that it?
Ball is set back to the 30-yard line of the Seminoles.
Back in, 15.
All right, you have offenses holding. Repeat. 2nd down.
Last year, Bobby Bowden and the Seminoles came to the Orange Bowl with an 11-0 record. Finished 11-1 after the loss to Oklahoma. This year, they're 10-1 coming in. Their only loss, a 1-point loss to Miami here in the Orange Bowl. 10-9 they lost early in the season. Ricky Williams gets the call again on a long yardage play. 2nd down and 26. He takes the ball across the 30. Williams has now been called on 6 times. He gained 34 yards.
Normally it's a passing down, Don, but I'll tell you, I don't know if they have Oklahoma's defense figured out yet, because every time they've dropped back to throw, they've found no receivers open. Oklahoma's going in a man-to-man defense up tight with the tight end and the slot back. They're playing a deep zone with the other 3 backs, and they really have had a lot of trouble. It's when most disaster occurs.
Well, we've had 1 turnover so far, the fumble by Oklahoma, but no score resulted from it. Here is Ricky Williams getting the call again. Williams takes the ball, gets it across the 40. On a 3rd down and 22 play, Florida State's going to need a lot, and they're not going to get it.
They may have gotten it, Don. If they got a penalty and they got a roughness penalty, that's
Defense offside, and you got a you got defense offside, and you got a defensive face mask, so that both fouls are on the defense.
Set that straight. Everybody's on the same page.
What we got?
Take the 15-yard, take the face mask.
Take the big one.
Right here, Dean.
During the run, so we're going to go from here. It's going to give them a 1st down.
one of the few ways you can pick up a 1st down without putting the ball in the air.
That was nice. That really helped the Seminoles. Sooners didn't like it.
You had the defense offside and a defensive illegal face mask. Take the major penalty, 15 yards, gives a 1st down to red team.
The ball was
In play. 1st down.
Coach Bowden's happy with that one. Bobby Bowden, 5th year at Florida State. What seasons he's had up there. 11-1 a year ago, 10-1 coming to this Orange Bowl this year with 10:03 left to play now in the first half. No score on the board. Florida State, the number 2 team in the nation, goes to the run again, right back to the sophomore Ricky Williams. On a 1st and 10 play, he gets ahead for about 3 yards. Number 53 on the Sooners, Orlando Flanagan. Junior linebacker from Compton, California, made the stop for Oklahoma. And the clock winds down to 9:40. Throughout the years, the Orange Bowl Classic has highlighted maybe the greatest halftime show in sports anywhere. Be bigger and better than ever this year. Dan McNamara's outdone himself with an Opryland show, and you'll be seeing that at halftime. But right now, we've got 9:23 left to play in the first half. It's 2nd down and 7. Here's Stockstill rolling out, takes a look, runs it down to the 40 and lost about a yard. Nobody was open. Stockstill had it taken himself. Whaley and Turner knocked him down.
Don, we've seen an awful lot of Ricky Williams, and I think the primary reason is that Sam Platt has been injured. That shoulder must be bothering him a lot more than anybody gave notice, or even himself. He ran the ball a couple times early in the ball game pretty hard, but he's not in there and hasn't been in there since the first series of plays. I've got to think it's because he's injured.
Yeah, he had the bad shoulder against Florida. They hoped it could come around. They were going to give it a go, and they did, but Williams is standing tall now in his stead. Here's Stockstill on 3rd down and 9, running inside the 40, inside the 35-yard line. He's tough. Rick Stockstill running like a fullback, puts his head down. Ricky Williams gave him a big block, and finally Darryl Sanji, number 16, knocked him down.
They've got another option, Don. This play gets down to within about 1.5 feet of a first down. He almost gets picked up. Stockstill's got good movement. Now, when he makes his commitment, he takes off after that first down. He knows he came up just about a foot short, I think, but he made an effort that was very commending.
Let's go down now to Bob Trumpy. Bob?
Okay, Don, you wondered about Sam Platt. Here he is. Sam, are you healthy? We know you have a bad shoulder. How do you feel?
I feel 100% right now. They're letting us alternate. I feel like I was doing a pretty good job. I'm just waiting on my chance to go back in.
But there's no problem with your shoulder. You can take the hits.
I can take the licks. No trouble with my shoulder whatsoever. I'm just ready to go now.
All right, Don, back to you.
All right, so Sam Platt's ready to go when called upon. The yard markers came out. It was just short of a first down. It's going to be 4th down and inches now for Florida State. They send some speed out in the left flank. Dennis McKinnon goes out there as a wide receiver.
You got it.
4th and inches. Stockstill earlier called his own number on a short yardage play and took it ahead for a first down. Does it again. Let's see if he got there. Looks like he did, John.
He got there. If he wasn't stuck.
Now we got the man here. Now you don't get out of the way.
He might get out of the way.
It's not that bad.
I think he's got it, but we'll.
I don't think so.
Well, if he does have it, he has it, and the yardage markers are off. I think he's short by the way they marked him.
Thank you. Step back. He got it. Hell no.
Got it. He was short. The yard markers come out. There it's put down, and all of a sudden Florida State finds they're about 8 inches short of the first down. It was a 4th down play, and the ball turns over to the Sooners with still no score on the board. 8 minutes and 32 seconds left to play in the first half. Florida State nothing, Oklahoma nothing. The Sooners with the ball when we come back to the 1981 Orange Bowl. John Bobby Bowden said when Oklahoma doesn't fumble, they don't lose to anybody. So far, they fumbled just once.
Well, I'll tell you, there's been a lot of movement of the ball, Don, but there hasn't been any scoring. Now, both teams have had a chance to kick field goals, get themselves on the board, and I think that's indicative of the way Oklahoma's played defense and also the Florida State Seminoles. I think it's been defensively controlled so far.
And right now, the Sooners are pitching for the first time, and J.C. Watts lets one rip deep. But the coverage was excellent. Keith Jones was running stride for stride with maybe the fastest Sooner, Jim Rockford.
Don, do you know how hard it is to play the run for a quarter and 7 minutes? Finally, Oklahoma puts the ball up in the air, and Keith Jones is step for step with Jim Rockford. I mean, in order to put your attention on the run and still be able to play the pass means you are alert defensively in the secondary.
Defense has been their key, Florida State. That's how they got here. The best in the country against scoring. Rates out among the top 3 in every department. Hand off to Stanley Wilson. And this lightning fast back from Carson, California, runs ahead for a good gain. On a 2nd down and 10 play, he got about 9. Paul Porowski, senior linebacker from Sarasota, Florida, was on the tackle. They could have sold another 50 or 60,000 tickets to this game if they had them. Right now, we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network. With John Brody and Bob Trumpy, this is Don Criqui at the 1981 Orange Bowl, the 47th. And the Oklahoma Sooners on 3rd and 1 go to the run in a scoreless game. And they look like they might have the first down. Bechtold and Don Key on the blocking front, leading the way for J.C. Watts. J.C. Watts scored 18 touchdowns this year, led the Big 8 in scoring with 108 points. He was second in the country in scoring. First down and 10 for Oklahoma with 7 minutes and 30 seconds left to play in the first half. JC starting to put it up. Here's a timing throw, and going for the ball again is Rockford. A couple of the Oklahoma wideouts were injured. Steve Rhodes has a hamstring pull. Bobby Grayson's out of the game. They're the normal starters. Rockford's his flyer, though. They can send him deep. He outrun most defenses.
Very seldom does Oklahoma play at wide receiver a freshman. Now, this kid's only 5'10". He's about 175, 85 pounds. Got real good active feet, runs fine patterns. There have been an awful lot of outstanding receivers that come out of Oklahoma. They just don't show their stuff generally while they're in that school.
Right now they have a second down and 10. The Sooners second in the nation in rushing offense, 360 yards a game. They go to the run. With the ball is Stanley Wilson, bounces off one tackle. Excellent defense by Florida State. Stanley Wilson was caught by Bobby Butler, a first-team All-American cornerback, and also by Jarvis Coursey, who is all over the field. And Stanley Wilson is down right now.
And he is a key to their offense. This man had a great game in the Orange Bowl last year. If he can move the ball inside, it really gives Watts, Rhymes, Overstreet a chance to move it outside. Without him, they're severely hampered.
Well, he gets popped in about every play. He, of course, is the up back, and that wishbone fake is always to him.
He's doing some popping too, Don. You see a back that gets stood up at the line of scrimmage, starts moving laterally. When you have pursuit like the Seminoles have had throughout the first half, he is in a very vulnerable position.
Well, we'll hope that Stanley's all right as he's being attended to now. Break in the action, 7 minutes to play in the first half, and still no score on the board. Stanley Wilson of Oklahoma walking off, but not very mobile after he took a hard hit this run.
All right, how does a running back get hurt? He's got to go laterally all of a sudden because of the very good pursuit by the Seminoles. As he goes laterally, Bobby Butler gets him stood up. Now there's nowhere for him to go. He gets hit by 2 or 3 Seminoles as he's trying to get on the ground. It looks like it's a pretty painful injury. I don't know how serious.
And now on 3rd down and 8, J.C. Watts throws. He gets his tight end, Forrest Valora. He's got a first down and plenty more. As Forrest Valora, a great blocker, doesn't get the ball thrown to him often, but gets the big yardage when he does. 30 yards a catch this year. That's only the 6th ball he's caught. Gets 13 yards and a first down.
And don't think J.C. Watts can't throw the ball. Now Valora makes a real fine play. Is faking a double team block, slides off it, gets underneath the linebackers. You can see both Jarvis and Pierowski are in the trail. No play.
Sooners starting to mount a challenge in a scoreless game. It's first down and 10 now at the 39. Weldon Ledbetter in the game as fullback. Sophomore from St. Louis, lightning fast with Stanley Wilson out. Reggie Herring knocked him down. Bobby Bowden, the coach of Florida State, likes to kid Reggie Herring, one of his linebackers. He said at the Orange Bowl lunch the other day that Reggie doesn't know the meaning of the word fear. In fact, said Bowden, I saw his grades the other day. He doesn't know the meaning of a lot of words.
Yeah, but he knows where. He knows who's playing out there, and he's in the middle of just about everything. I think the academics personally are a little overrated as to the intelligence of a young man, and I think he's a very bright linebacker.
He is that. The linebackers have been great for Florida State. Pierowski, the other one, now on the run on a 2nd down and 8 play. The carry is going to be down by inside the 30-yard line. Let's go back down to Bob Trumpy.
All right, gentlemen, one of the reasons I think Oklahoma's running the ball with some success now, the All-American defensive lineman for the Florida State Seminoles out, Ron Simmons. What's wrong?
Well, I just slightly sprained my other ankle, and I thought maybe the one that would give me trouble would be the one that I had sprained all season. but I just slightly sprained it. But I think there's a chance of me coming back. So I'm going to try and come back.
Okay, Ron Simmons. Back to you, Don.
Ron's had a tough time all season with the ankle problems. An All-American. Here's J.C. Watson, a 1st and 10, keeping the ball. The trailer was Buster Rhymes. Paul Kurowski, 53, knocked him out of bounds for Florida State. Game clock is now down to 5:41 in the first half, and still no score. Both teams missed long field goal attempts.
Jim Gilbert is one who we might watch. He's the fellow that plays behind Ron Simmons. When Ron had a bad ankle early in the year, he came on, picked up right where Ron left off, and coaches feel they really didn't drop. Now, when you don't drop and Ron Simmons is out of the lineup, you've got a fellow that can really play.
Yeah, they liked him. Gilbert is in there now. Ron Simmons made just about every first-team All-American team. Barry Switzer, 42 years old, a former Arkansas linebacker. Down on one knee. Sooners haven't been in the end zone yet. Here's J.C. Watts, popped. Kurowski got him. Senior linebacker, Paul Kurowski. Well, in a year's time, they've made some fine adjustments to the wishbone. The wishbone cracked Florida State last year, but so far, Florida State's great defense has been tough.
Well, when you have 2 outstanding inside linebackers and 2 excellent outside defensive ends, you've got a lot of latitude to work with. Kurowski got the blocks that left him into a free lane. He got right on the ball carrier quick, and the game was closed.
Sooners can really go. They set 5 NCAA records this season on offense, including 758 yards rushing against Colorado in one game. Here's a fumble, and Florida State has the ball. So the second time tonight Oklahoma has fumbled. Paul Kurowski forced it with a hard hit, and Florida State has it, John. You bet he forced it with a hard hit, but Jim Gilbert took 2 Oklahoma Sooners right in the middle of the line. And I tell you, if the nose guard takes 2 offensive linemen before the play gets stuffed, that play is going to get hit at the line of scrimmage. He did it on that play. He had no part in the fumble. What many people don't recognize is how instrumental he was in creating it. Look at the whole right side of the offensive line goes down on the floor, and the game gets a little lonely out there for a running back with 3 defenders on his neck. You can get real lonely. Great play by Monk Bonasorte. He's quite a story. He was a walk-on. Came here without a scholarship. He's been a starting free safety and a big factor in this great defense. Barry Switzer, the Oklahoma coach, says, I don't like to see fumbles, but when they happen, I'm not startled. We expected with a high-risk offense. Now the Sooners have turned it over twice on fumbles in this game. There's no score on the board. 1st and 10, Florida State, the second quarter. Sam Platt gets his number called. He's back in there with 4:42 to play in the first half, and the clock running. Orlando Flanagan and Richard Turner were on the stop for Oklahoma. Last year, Oklahoma was a victor over Florida State 24-7. The previous year, in a rematch, Oklahoma went against its arch rival Nebraska. Beat the Huskers 31-24, 78. Lou Holtz brought the Hogs in here from Arkansas, and they upset Oklahoma, then second ranked, 31-7. A throw and a strike. Dennis McKinnon coming back at the ball, might have enough for a first down. Let's go back down to the sideline. Bob?
All right, the guy who picked up the fumble, Paul Kurowski. Congratulations. What happened?
Well, they're just running the option out of my way, and I'm trying to beat the blocker and trying to get the quarterback. Fortunately, I'm getting to him. That's about it.
Who made the hit?
I did.
All right, congratulations. Paul Kurowski, Florida State with the ball.
He's made a few.
There's no doubt about where you are when you make the hit.
First down and 10. Florida State got the first down just across their 40. Stockstill looking in the flat. He's got a man open. Goes to his tight end, Sam Childers. And he's ahead to the 47-yard line. Gain of about 7. Game clock down to 3:37 and running.
Earlier in the ball game, Don, when we saw anybody go into a slot position, the linebacker stayed right with him, man-to-man all over the field. This time they went into a zone defense. Childers is out there alone. He could have gone deep, but there were 2 people on the man deep. He slid it off to Childers, picked up about 7.
That makes it second down and 3. Here's the pitch back. Sam Platt running hard, breaks the front wall of the Oklahoma defense and gets down to the 46. He gets ahead for a first down. Let's listen to the umpire now. Doesn't have a whole lot to say at the moment.
Come on, Nels, tighten up.
Right now, the game clock shows 3:10 left to go. No score on the board in this 47th Orange Bowl game. Florida State, number 2. Oklahoma, number 4. Florida State with the ball. First down and 10. Back to the run. Up the middle and down to the 41-yard line of Oklahoma.
Up easy, up easy. I got it, Bobby.
On 5. Third down.
Keith Gary
Pass her alone now after the ball's gone.
Richard Turner combined on the tackle.
Okay, take a look.
Stockstill, John has completed all 5 of his throws, 21 yards.
And when he hasn't thrown, his receivers were covered. He picked up some good yardage.
He runs well. Here's a handoff now. Sam Platt gets his number called again, takes it down inside the 40-yard line, down close to 38.
The key has been that when that happens, Oklahoma's up to the task after it happens. There are no points on the scoreboard, and the Seminoles have executed fairly well. That means your defense seems to stuff you when you get down inside the 25 or 30-yard line. They've played very well after 2 or 3 first downs have been made.
Both teams have challenged, gotten down close. Twice Oklahoma's turned it over on fumbles. Here's the fake, and Stockstill on a naked reverse gets ahead and dives ahead for a first down. Boy, he's playing a game. Rick Stockstill takes it himself, goes wide, gets a block. Orlando Flanagan knocked him down, but the Seminoles have a first down at the 33-yard line of Oklahoma.
Good call at the right time. Look at the pursuit of the Oklahoma defense. Everybody's taking a move, having to go at it. Stockstill judges the tempo of the game, knows everybody's in great pursuit, keeps the ball himself without any leader. He probably didn't even tell the flanker back because he didn't help him much on the block, kept the ball and picked up the first.
First down it is. Back to the run. No, it's a fake, and Stockstill's going long. He's got a man open. Dennis McKinnon. There's a penalty marker down in the Oklahoma secondary. Great fake by Stockstill. Held the backers, and then he let her rip to a wide open Dennis McKinnon.
And it was between the receiver and Sanji. I don't know who it was on, but it was where the ball was thrown, and I do believe it was on Sanji.
No. It happened on the man going out for the pass. It was about 3 yards downfield.
We'll bring the captain up. What you say?
Well, it's going to give him first down. Where's the spot of the foul?
The spot of the foul is 3 yards beyond the line.
There's a defensive pass interference call, which gives Florida State a first down.
Yeah, that's right.
It'll be down there where it's playing.
No, he said it would happen down here, so it's going to start right here.
That's rare to me, Don. He said it happened 3 yards down the field, and yet he threw the flag about 15. Now,
He'll make the call.
All right, we have defensive pass interference. On the defense, accepted penalty is an automatic first down.
It was an incomplete
First
pass.
down, that's right.
Okay.
this is why you don't give up when you see a penalty thrown. Now, neither the receiver nor the defender knew the penalty was called. I do believe the receiver thought he was in perfect position to grab the ball, could have kept Stockstill's average perfect and them right inside the 10, but
well, time is a big factor now. The clock is down to 1:35 to play in the first half. Still no score on the board. Stockstill gives off. Ricky Williams busts it, and Ricky Williams takes it all the way down to the 19-yard line of Oklahoma. From the 32 to the 19, a gain of 13 yards, and Orlando Flanagan saved it from going the distance. And now Florida State, John's going to take a timeout with 1:30 to play in the half.
you bet. And Tom Brannon, Lee Adams made great blocks at the point of attack, got a little help from Michael Whiting. When you get 3 good blocks at the point of attack, you're going to pick up some yardage.
Florida State really has had a great effort from its offensive line, coming off the ball at that big Sooner front. Bobby Bowden said last year when Oklahoma came out on the field, his guys stopped warming up and just looked kind of wide-eyed at how big. So the field kind of tilted when they came out.
You know, I think he plays that up a little. These guys wouldn't be number 2, recognized as number 2 in the country, number 1 by the computers. They played the toughest schedule in the country. And I'm not sure that they don't have as good a football team as any team in the country, and it's primarily because of that man. He's changed the whole city of Tallahassee around, and they're a good football team.
Got the whole town wearing garnet and gold in Tallahassee. Now the Seminoles go back to the run with 1:13 left to play. Ricky Williams gets the call, and again Flanagan, the outside. So he's listed as a defensive end, but they play almost a linebacker. The outside ends on the Oklahoma defense made the tackle. And the game clock is stopped with 1:13 left to play in the first half. Florida State's driving, but yet there's no score on the board. We'll be back at the 1981 Orange Bowl after this. With John Brody, this is Don Criqui back at the 1981 Orange Bowl, Miami, Florida. Florida State, number 2 in the nation. Driving right now, but time is a big element. 1:13 left to go in the first half. Second down and 4 coming up from the 13-yard line. Oklahoma sets down its big defensive front. Stockstill, hands up, right back to the run. Michael Whiting lost the ball, but a Seminole teammate got it farther downfield. Looked like Ricky Williams came up with the ball.
It was, Don. It was Ricky Williams who came up with the ball, but he made a very fine play in trailing the ball carrier. You never know when a ball's going to come loose, but watch him. Now he's coming around the corner. All he has to do is lag a little. He keeps alert, sees the ball loose, falls on it, keeps the drive alive. They've got a little over 55 seconds to play in the half. They've still got 2 timeouts. They've got plenty of time to get it in the end zone. This is the best drive that either team has put on all night.
Not much needed.
Third down.
55 seconds left in the first half and just inches needed. Florida State unable to run successfully against Oklahoma last year, doing it tonight.
We're going to start it on the ready.
Wide receiver set to either side. 55 seconds and the clock starts up. And now we're going to have a timeout signal for and allotted to Florida State. It has been a well-executed drive by Florida State as they're down real close now. They've got the good field goal kicker. Pick up some of the action on the field.
1 timeout left. He changed the play, Nick? Yes.
All right, we got a little skull session here between the head coach and the quarterback, considering the clock. This is the biggest play in the first half so far.
Crumper, I don't think Coach Bowden's letting in on that one.
Give me 2 plays, I'll just get on the line.
52 seconds left to go. The first half.
If we don't make it, call timeout. Yeah.
There we go.
It's left 48. Just tell us to get it all the way. Knock it on in there.
There you go, Bob. You got it. Left 48. 52 seconds to play.
What he was talking about, Don, is if he doesn't make it, call timeout, because then they'll re-huddle, figure out what they want to do. But if he does make it, they'll line up at the line of scrimmage. They've got a first down play, and they won't use very much time.
It's 3rd down and inches. Twice previously, Stockstill's called his own number. Got it once, didn't the other time. Now he goes to Ricky Williams. He's in the end zone with a touchdown for the Seminoles. Florida State, with a brilliant drive, takes it the distance, and the second-ranked Seminoles go on the board first. Boy, they look sharp. Let's go back down to Bob Trumpy.
Bobby, how big is that touchdown for your team right now?
Pretty big. We ain't been ahead of them too often.
And I'll tell you what, your defense is holding them too. That's got to help you a lot.
They've played excellent so far.
When you score first against a team like Oklahoma, how much does it do for the attitude of the players on the sideline?
It'll help us at the halftime. It'll help us.
All right, Florida State breaks out on top, and the extra point is good.
So something happened all of a sudden. The Florida State offensive ball busted open the Oklahoma defense, and Ricky Williams, a 170-pound sophomore who's having a big night, rocketed into the end zone with the first score of the evening. 49 seconds left to play in the first half, and Florida State has taken a 7-0 lead over Oklahoma. A year ago, the Seminoles were on the board first. That was in the first quarter, but then Oklahoma came back with 17 second quarter points, 7 more in the second half, won the game 24-7. The Orange Bowl has not been a happy place for the Seminoles, losing here last year and thus losing their only game this regular season to Miami earlier here at the Orange Bowl. But tonight, they're out in front as they just went 70 yards in 11 plays, using 4 minutes on the clock. 49 seconds left to play now in the first half. Big halftime, the Opryland show coming up at the 1981 Orange Bowl. But first, Bill Capice is going to kick off. This is the guy who worked under Gary Yepremian as a Miami Dolphin ball boy. He could outkick on distance Yepremian in high school, but he said Yepremian could hit it a dime in the air. I never was able to get as accurate. Now he tries a little looper. He's going to try to get an outside kick going, and lots of people going for the ball, but an up back for Oklahoma alertly comes up with it.
Don, that's one of the best onside kicks I have ever seen. When you can put the ball high in an area where nobody can get it before it hits the ground, if that ball had bounced just a little differently, the Seminoles could have recovered.
Like you with that wedge.
No, mine go all kind of ways, but this baby went right where he aimed it, and he had his whole team down under it, and Oklahoma made an excellent job of recovering the football.
Bobby Bowden, as you recall, if you were with us last year, was Mike during the game. He's given us permission to go down and listen in when he counsels his players on the sidelines. Some of the Florida State fans thinking we're getting away with something. Here's another fumble by Oklahoma. It's recovered. Do they have it? It's going to be Oklahoma's ball for a substantial gain. The fumble was ahead, went out of bounds. Weldon Ledbetter lost it. That time the Florida State Seminoles didn't get it back. Oklahoma got a gain, but they've put it on the ground 3 times now. They've lost 2. 40 seconds left to go in the first half. 7-0 Florida State. Seminoles going 70 yards in 11 plays, a 4-minute drive.
It's been a long time since Oklahoma has been shut out in 1 half a play. I think you got to go back to the second game of the year when they played Stanford.
Right, Stanford jumped him early and beat him, as did Texas. Now J.C. Watts trying to throw is knocked down by James Gilbert, who's come in at middle guard playing some great ball for Florida State. A couple of years ago, the basketball coach at Oklahoma left, went to SMU. He said, couldn't fight that football program. He said, football's #1 at Oklahoma, and it ought to be. They outscore our basketball team.
Hey, Gary Futch has played a pretty good ball game at defensive tackle down there. He and his brother, Gary, the two of them just, they get the job done. When you find 2 brothers that are first-string offense and defense, you've got 2 kids that can play football.
From thoroughbred country, Ocala, Florida. 23 seconds left to go in the first half. We all recall how Peggy Fleming was America's sweetheart at the 1968 Winter Olympic Games. Now she competes again, joined by Ty Babylonia, Randy Gardner, Linda Fradiani, and Dorothy Hamill in the first World Professional Figure Skating Championship. That starts January 18th on NBC Sports World, plus the hilarious annex and the basketball wizardry of Meadowlark, Lemon, and the Buccateers, all on the season premiere of NBC Sports World, January 18th. Sooners need a big play. 23 seconds is all that remains in the second quarter. Florida State's on the board after a sustained drive, leads the game 7-0.
I think if I was sitting in their position right now, John, I'd let the clock run out because they're not accustomed to throwing the ball all over the field. Even if they get a first down, it'll be very tough to get any points on the board. They've got quite a ways to go, and a lot of things can happen. Florida State's all pumped up. A mistake can put them in field position to kick a field goal, and 7 points is nothing for Oklahoma.
They can get it back right now. J.C. Watts is looking to get it back on 1 play. He's going to run with the ball. Carrying him to man, and J.C. bails out with 15 seconds left to go. He had Jim Rockford running the fly pattern. He's well attended to, though. A couple of Seminoles were right with him. J.C. Watts, 5'11", 190, a senior.
15 seconds. You still got the clock, James.
Thank you. We got 3rd down. It's out of bounds.
18 touchdowns this season. Led the Big 8 in scoring. Was 2nd in the country with 108 points.
So many people have said, you know, I don't know if he can play quarterback as a professional. His viewpoint is that he'd probably be used on special teams. I'll tell you, he can play quarterback. The structure is not set up for him to throw the ball very much, but he's got an excellent throwing motion. If the structure was set up for him to throw, he'd be an all-purpose quarterback. And I think he could play.
I know you liked all his throwing motions before the game. The long ones, soft touch. 3 minutes. 15 seconds left. 3rd down coming up.
Timeout. No, timeout.
3rd and 12.
No, whistle blew.
Who called timeout? That's their 3rd one, huh?
Seminoles call for and are allotted their final timeout of the first half. 3rd down and 12 coming up. Hoping to get it back, maybe to try 1 more play. As Oklahoma has the ball at the Sooners' 49-yard line. Oklahoma with its 4th consecutive Orange Bowl appearance. Its 5th in the last 6 years. Sooners have been here over the years 12 times. won 8 and lost just 3. Storied part of the great Orange Bowl tradition. They've been here more than any other team.
I think that if they have a pattern that they can throw over the middle of the field, both the cornerbacks are playing deep, they're playing wide, get it to one of their, you know, okay, if you throw it to Forrest Ballora, he may make a big play. They've got 15 seconds. If he gets put down about the 30-yard line, that'll be a 20-yard pickup. They'd still have an opportunity to call timeout, kick a field goal, go in only 4 points down. So I'm sure in the discussion that's in their thinking. Usually you'd think, well, we have to throw the ball out of bounds. We've only got 15 seconds left, but with 3 timeouts, and they're only going to have time for 1 good long play and a chance at a field goal. That would be about as positive as they can go at this point.
Well, we'll see now as J.C. Watts comes back after a sideline consultation. So Bobby Bowden's record.
Besides, I had a great knee operation, so I'm real sensitive.
6 of those 13 losses came his first year there. They had a 5-6 year after an 0-11 season. They've been a big winner ever since in Florida State under Bowden. 3rd down and 12. Sooners go right to the run. Weldon Ledbetter takes the ball back inside the 50, down to the 47. They got another Ledbetter in Oklahoma, and he must be pretty good. He's a freshman from Muskogee named Jerome Ledbetter. They gave him Billy Sims number 20. We haven't seen him yet. You will on the second half kickoff, though. Oklahoma leads the country in kickoff returns. Now we have a timeout signal.
They've got
with
one
8
left,
seconds
White. You
left
don't
to
have
play.
Red. You don't have any.
Don't hit that passer now. Don't give him an untimed down.
Let's give him a little.
In fact, don't foul at all. That'll extend the half, and he fouled by the defense.
Officials are mic'd for this game. That timeout was called by Oklahoma with 8 seconds left to go in the first half, and Florida State in the lead 7-0.
There's been quite a bit of discussion also, Don, between Harold Johnson, the umpire, who's standing right behind the defense, and the defensive linebackers. He's laughing a little at the linebackers, who just mentioned he moves around pretty good for a fellow 45. He said, well, yeah, with 6 knee operations, I feel 60, so don't hurry me along.
Get up, ready.
Officials can get hurt, and that umpire is one of them that can, standing right in the middle of the defense. Here is J.C. Watts now on 4th down, throwing a strike. He's got Jim Rockford. It's a first down. He's out of bounds with 2 seconds left.
Here you go.
And here's a penalty marker coming in after the play.
Whistle and blown dead. Get my flag. You got a dead ball, double dead ball foul right here.
And we're going to play it right from there.
Right from here, right there. Put the ball right there. Now knock that off. Just go on each side.
Play football.
That's the way to control a football game. If the referee doesn't do it, it won't get done.
He's doing it. So he had 2 fouls, 1 on either side, and the play that was after the ball was down. So the ball will be spotted just inside the 37-yard line of Florida State. And Keeling, who missed 34 yards out in his first field goal drive, will set up now at the 43-yard line. This will be a long one.
It's just a little 53-yarder. The one advantage they do have in college is that they get to place the ball on a tee. Now you'll see it down there, so the grass really doesn't have a big effect. Trajectory gets a little swifter. If you really catch it flush, you can carry it.
Set down, everything good. Keeling's into the ball nicely. Bang! 53 yards, and Michael Keeling puts Oklahoma on the board. Everything was set.
He caught it flush.
Perfect set down. Steve Rhodes holding, Mark Lucky snapping, and Keeling gets points for the Sooners as the first half runs out. Let's go back down to the sidelines. Bob?
All right, Bobby, your impressions of the first half. That 3 points had to hurt you.
3 points hurts. Yeah, you're darn right. Yeah, the very sluggish first half. Both of us look sluggish as heck. 2 offenses going up and down the field, not getting in the end zone. Both defenses playing superb. We finally got one, and then we shouldn't have let them score there. We should have kept them off that board.
Didn't this football team from Oklahoma teach you a very valuable lesson? That is, you got to run the football, which you've done very well in the first half.
Yeah, we've run much better. They're playing a nickel defense again, which I didn't think they would after watching us play this year. But I'm sure they had a reason. It's been effective. But we've been able to run on it some. I hope we can keep it up.
All right, what's the reasoning for platooning Platt and Williams?
Platt has been hurt some. He's not in as good a condition, and Williams has been running well. Every time Williams has played for us this year, he's come in and done well, and he deserves it for one thing.
Well, I would imagine that Oklahoma will go in at halftime, make some adjustments against your defense to try to accommodate what you're stopping them with. Are you going to have to make some changes in your defense?
We will, yeah, if they change, we change. If they don't change, we stay like we are because they hadn't scored except for that kick. But I'm sure they'll adjust, and also we'll make some adjustments. And let's hope it. I just hope we can keep them off that board now. If we keep it, we win.
Okay, thanks, Bobby. All right, it's halftime here at the Orange Bowl, 7-3 Florida State University. Now let's listen to a little bit of the Pride of Oklahoma marching band under the direction of Gene Threlkill.
And here's the biggest surprise, the 141 yards offensively that FSU's gained on the ground. A lot of that has been done by Williams. The kid has come in for Sam Platt. The 2 of them have alternated. He's picked up 78 yards in the first half on 11 carries. That's part of the reason Sam Platt didn't get to play as much as they thought he would coming into the ball game. You get a kid that's hot, you stay with him.
Well, we'll see if they do now. I think Oklahoma might be throwing more in the second half. Their coaches were not happy with the wishbone. Here is the kickoff, and Capiz drills one And here comes Jerome Ledbetter. He's run 2 back for touchdowns this year. Ledbetter turns to the outside. And finally, Gary Henry comes up and finds him, knocks him down. They're averaging over 33 yards a kickoff return this season are the Sooners, #1 in the nation. There is Jerome Ledbetter, truly an Okie from Muskogee. Gave him Billy Sims' number, so he must be a player.
That's nothing. That's no flag. It's no flag. It's no flag. Just debris from the half. First down.
And we're looking at some paper, thought it was a flag. Big Louis Oubre, number 66. He's the super quick All-American tackle of Oklahoma. 280 from New Orleans. Terry Crouch, Bill Bechtold, Don Key, and Ed Culver, the blockers. Forrest Valora, the tight end. Handoff goes up the middle, and Weldon Ledbetter, the fullback in the wishbone, takes it straight ahead behind Crouch and Bechtold. Borowski and Jarvis Coursey were on the knockdown for Florida State. J.C. Watts, the senior quarterback for Oklahoma, led an offense that had 411 yards rushing last season. In the first half tonight, Florida State's held the Sooners down to 114. They come in averaging 360 a game running it. Watts calling his own number, comes out close to the 30-yard line. Mark Masick, 67 on the stop for Florida State.
And Mark Masick is a name you haven't heard too often in the first half. However, he and Futch are playing super games, allowing the linebackers and the defensive ends to make the tackles. When you're playing good up front and you're playing good against a man like Louis Oubre or Terry Crouch, you are playing football.
Lots of big people. Masick comes in at 260. That's small as the Oklahoma linemen go. Got a 290 that been in there so often. Little Byford. Harris again straight up the middle, and the freshman from Miami, Buster Rhymes, takes it ahead. He gets the first down carry. Buster Rhymes brings the ball out across the 35 to the 38-yard line. Bonasort, the free safety on the stop.
And they made it right over Ron Simmons. Remember, he went out in the first half with an ankle injury. He is trying to play. It's very hard to hold your own when you're playing against a real good offensive center like Bill Bechtel, and he couldn't do it with a bad ankle, and I doubt if you'll see him in a lot in the second half.
Gilbert, his backups played very well. James Gilbert's come in for Simmons. Free football in the Sooner backfield. J.C. Watts fell on it, but lost yardage on a 1st and 10 play from the 38 of Oklahoma. The ball is now back to the 34-yard line, so it's going to be 2nd down and 15.
Okay, off on the point of at the point of attack. Everybody got off on the ball. Problem was they forgot to take it with them. Just 1 or 2 of these kind of miscues destroy your whole drive, because Oklahoma is not a passing team. They run the ball. They expect to keep good ball control. Make 4 or 5 a crack. Now it's 2nd and 14.
There's the pitch back. Running wide with the ball, trying to get free and not get very far is Buster Rhymes, as this Florida State defense playing superb football. Rhymes is knocked down. James Harris, right side corner, was up to make the tackle, 33.
And when you see the cornerback up to make the tackle, it means they've changed a little something defensively. He's normally out wide with the wide receiver. That time he was the force man. Got to the ball player before the blocker could. They've been 1 step ahead defensively of Oklahoma's offense all night. This was the feature, Oklahoma's offense against FSU's defense. So far, it's been a great FSU defense.
And an interesting contrast, John, because Bobby Bowden said last year we were a step behind them. We knew what they were going to do, but we couldn't stay with them. Here's a throw, and coming out to get the ball is Forrest Valora, the tight end, and he's all the way down inside the 40-yard line of Florida State. Forrest stepped out. He was heading for the end zone. 12:03 to play in the 3rd quarter, a 29-yard gain on the play, and another Sooner first down. So they pitch early.
And it was the same little delay play where the tight end blocks down, faking a running play. Looks like a same old wishbone pitch option. Valora comes sneaking underneath the linebackers. That time he catches Reggie Herring just a step back of him, picks the ball off, goes down the sideline for a big game. Oklahoma's on the move at the 38.
Steve Rhodes, who had the hamstring pull, is now in as a wide receiver, flank to the right. Oklahoma goes to the run. Buster Rhymes is stung hard as he gets down to the 35-yard line. Reggie Herring popped him. Bechtold and Key led the blocking, and a 1st down carry. The gain was only about 2 yards. Bring up 2nd down and 8 for Oklahoma at the 35-yard line of Florida State. A 29-yard gainer to Forrest Valora, the tight end. Big play in this drive that has the Sooners down to the 35-yard line.
Bobby Bowden mentioned something interesting at the halftime interview with Bob Trumpy when he said Oklahoma has played a lot of nickel backs, and when they get on defense, we'll describe some of the problems. Oops.
J.C. Watts has a trailer and Buster Rhymes. J.C. takes it himself. Let's go down and listen to the refs as they unsort the pile.
Here you go, Bob.
You got defense offside. Let's have the white captain here. All right, captain, if you take the play, they're going to have a 3rd down and about 2. If you take the penalty, they'll have a 2nd down and about 3. 3rd and take the penalty. All right.
Lose a yard, gain it down.
Offside.
Right here.
On your right side over here.
So the ball's now down to the 30.
We have an offside on the defense. Repeat the down. 2nd down.
Stockstill, who threw well and ran well for Florida State in the first half, waiting to go in with the offense. Right now the Sooners have the ball and they have 2nd down and about 3 at the 30-yard line of Florida State. 3rd quarter. Florida State in the lead, 7-3. Give is up the middle. Fullback at the ball. Weldon Ledbetter was stopped by Reggie Herring of Florida State. Got the ball down inside the 30, but short of the 1st down. It's going to bring a 3rd down and about a yard.
Not very often does a team stop Oklahoma when they get off on the ball with good offensive surge, as they did that time. They looked as if they had moved the ball at the point of attack pretty well. Their linebackers jumped in behind the play and made the stop for a 1.5 yard gain. They're all over the field right now.
On 3rd and less than a yard, they didn't get there. Florida State comes crashing through. James Gilbert led the charge on J.C. Watts.
No later
down
now,
to the 30.
No later now.
4th down.
No later than that, little fella. No later. No later than that now.
Who's the little fella?
Not too many of them in this game. 4th down. You remember in the last play of the first half, Michael Keeling, the Oklahoma place kicker, hit an Orange Bowl record 53-yard field goal to put the Sooners on the board. They now trail 7-3. 4th down and a yard for Oklahoma at the 29-yard line, and they want some time to think this one over with 9:50 left to play in the 3rd quarter. The Sooners call a timeout. J.C. Watts comes over to talk with Coach Switzer. We'll be back at the 1981 Orange Bowl after this. With John Brody and Bob Trumpy, this is Don Criqui back at the Orange Bowl. Here's the only touchdown of this game, John. The Florida State run by Ricky Williams.
And Ricky Williams doing an awful lot of playing time for one of the few times this season, because the man he's playing behind, Sam Platt, ran very well. They put Williams in. He's having a super night. Found the hole easily and slipped it in for a touchdown. Here we go.
4th in the yard. Look at this. J.C. Watts breaks it. One man to beat. The All-American corner, Bobby Butler, catches him and throws him down. But the Sooners are down to the 5-yard line of Florida State, a 23-yard gain.
And I'll tell you what they did. They put Louis Obrey out at tight end. When they did, they didn't put him out there because they didn't want to run the ball over him. He caved in the whole right side of the line, gave Watts a hole to run in. You don't see Buster Rhymes in any position to get the football. He couldn't get up in front of him to help. Trailing all the way. Big gain. Oklahoma's first chance inside the 10-yard line, and they are hard to stop down here.
That's a good shot. Boy, you see the world upside down as a kick snapper. Oklahoma, Florida State kick snapper, Trent Barnes. 1st down and goal for Oklahoma. Sooners trailing the game. Here's J.C. Watts. Again, he calls his own number, and Watts is down to the 3-yard line. Sooners cracking the whip now as 9:34 shows in the 3rd quarter clock. Oklahoma ranked 4th in the nation. Florida State ranked 2nd in the nation. The Seminoles holding to a 4-point lead, but the Sooners challenging now. Florida State's been a great 2nd half team. They've outscored the opposition in the 4th quarter 96-0.
I'll tell you what they've done in the last 2 plays that they weren't consistently doing. They won at the line of scrimmage. You win at the line of scrimmage, and Watts will put some yards on you.
He will do that. He'll call his own number regularly. Now he pitches back, running wide with the ball and looking for the end zone, and going in is David Overstreet. He carried once in the first half, gained 31 yards on his 2nd carry. It's a touchdown for Oklahoma. And with 8:59 to play in the 3rd quarter, the Sooners take the lead, 9-7. One of the co-captains from Big Sandy, Texas.
You know, it's hard to feature a man like David Overstreet because the defense can take him away from you. And that's what they did in the first half. Whenever you get out in a position to pitch the ball, things look pretty good. He's going to get it. When he gets it, he can pick some yardage up for you. They broke the defense twice in that drive. As a result, 6 points. One more is 7. It's 10-7, Oklahoma.
That is the number. Oklahoma's Michael Keeling hits the point after in 10 plays. The Sooners go 77 yards, culminating a pitch back to senior David Overstreet. And he turns on his 4.4 speed. He's as fast as anybody Oklahoma has and ends up right where it counts, end zone. So the Sooners come out strong in the second half, driving 77 yards. They take the lead. We'll be back at the Orange Bowl in a moment. The Sooner offense came out humming in the third quarter, went 77 yards for the go-ahead touchdown. Oklahoma leads second-ranked Florida State 10-7 with 8:59 to play in the third quarter. Now Keeling, who hit the point after, ready to kick off. Ricky Williams is back deep for the Seminoles. Squibber downfield. It's going to be tough to handle. Coming up with the ball is Ken Burnett. He gets it out to the 29-yard line, to the 20-yard line. Let's go back now to Bob Trumpy on the sideline. Bob?
All right, gentlemen, Barry Switzer with me. What were they doing to you in the first half that you couldn't run the football?
Well, we made some mistakes. Had great field position. We turned the ball over twice down there, Bob. They playing good defense. They're a good football team. The key to the game's right here. Can we stop them? They moved the ball well against us. They hurt us a couple of blocking schemes. Hopefully we play better second half defense.
Did you do anything different in that last drive that you didn't do?
We changed some things. You bet we did. But it's still going to be execution. We've got to play well, and we've got to stop them defensively. That's going to be the key to the ball game.
Okay, Don, back to you. Live action.
Let's see if they can. Here's Rick Stockstill again, calling his own number. The quarterback runs the ball out from the 20-yard line on a 1st and 10 play and gets it out close to the 30. John?
Again, a good time to call that play, Don, because they know Oklahoma's just scored a touchdown. They're going to be off on the ball. They're after the ball carrier. Again, he didn't have a lead guard. He had no one telling the defense where he was going. He took it on his own, picked up a fast 6, and it's a tough way of doing it, but a very effective method. We'll get into the fact that Oklahoma was playing a 5-back defense on 1st, 2nd, 3rd downs a lot in a minute.
Stockstill goes to the run on 2nd down and a long 3. Mike Whiting runs with the ball, gets across the 30-yard line. It's a 1st down for Florida State.
All right, again, they've played a nickel back defense, which means they're taking a linebacker or a defensive end and really putting him in a responsible position as a halfback. Well, they're putting him out on the tight end who has spread off the line of scrimmage. It takes a linebacker out of the hole. You get a good block at the point of attack, and the runner has a hole.
They've been getting those holes for the Florida State backs. Here's another one as Sam Platt dives over the top. He got about 3. Mike Riley, one of the Oklahoma inside backers, number 50 from Miami, Florida, made the stop with 8:20 to go in the third quarter. 10-7 Sooners in the lead. We've talked a lot about Florida State's defense against scoring, number 1 in the country. Gave up just 85 points this season, 7.7 a game, but the Sooners don't give up many. They're right up among the leaders. Only 11 points have they allowed on the average per game.
They're not in that nickel now.
2nd and 6. Whiting going wide. Here's some more blocks, and Whiting breaks it, gets ahead across the 45 and all the way out to the 49-yard line. The Seminoles strike back, and they get a 1st down and a 13-yard gain by Mike Whiting, 200-pound junior from Largo, Florida.
All right, every time when Florida State has called against the grain, against the flow type plays, look, you can see from upstairs, the play opens up cleanly. They get a couple blocks out in front of them. We mentioned they weren't playing a nickel defense. There were only 4 defensive backs. He just picked up a hole, picked up the 1st down. That's quite a shot.
It was a good one. 13-yard gainer, 1st down Seminoles. They trail in this game by 3. Third quarter, 10-7 Oklahoma. Sam Platt to the run. His quickness, he gets to the outside, then cuts upfield and gets the ball close to the 45-yard line of Oklahoma.
Boy, he made a good run there, Don. He kept himself inbounds, picked up a couple extra yards when it looked as if he was slipping outside. He's got to be frustrated being their gun all year long. He still has carried the ball 13 times for 45 yards, but he's accustomed to playing a little bit more of the football game than he's played so far tonight. It's all because Ricky Williams has been so effective.
Last year, Florida State was unable to run against Oklahoma at all. This year in the first half, they got 141 yards, ran the Sooners, and they're getting a lot more now. 2nd down and 5, they're down to the 40. Let's go down. Hear the official. Sam Platt carried. And the chain markers move again. It's a first down for Florida State.
The Switzer called it. The key to the game is, can Oklahoma's defense stop FSU's offense? We've got the two #1 ranked groups in the country playing against each other on the other when the other team has the ball. But this group looks pretty good right now offensively.
Heck of the game. We were looking for one, and you're getting it. Could be the best of all the bowl games. There's been some great play. Right now, Florida State's going back to the run. Sam Platt getting some work, but no room from the Oklahoma defense. There's a penalty marker down, though, in the secondary.
Just coming out.
Here you go. You just came out of your pocket?
That's what.
Just came out of his pocket. That'll happen. There's a lot of people nervous, but nothing happened.
Okay.
Maybe his nose was running.
State's
down you got.
Looks like Simmons will be out for the game now with the ankle problem. Guy backs him up. Gilbert, though, can play. Here's Stockstill. Deep throw, but now goes short. He had men running deep patterns on either flank, trying to go up the middle and came in low. He was looking at runner Sam Platt. First incomplete pass of the night for junior quarterback Rick Stockstill.
Yeah, and a good look at the defense from the blimp. You can see those linebackers are not dropping into deep patterns because they're not too concerned about anybody coming over the middle. As the receivers start crossing in front of them, they can see it clearly. The defensive line stands up. There's really no open space. Stanford didn't score a lot of points against these guys early if they played this defense.
Stockstill standing in on third down and 10 to go for the first down. The ball is caught. It's going to be short of a first down. It's going to be down to the 33. Second down play. Artis Johnson, who's caught 9 touchdown passes this year, including those 2 against Florida that brought them from behind, makes the reception.
This ball looked like a pickoff from the time it left Stockstill's hands. Somehow it found its receiver. Stands up, throws it just like a pitcher, but you can see from a defensive standpoint, few free safeties get an opportunity to pick off a ball like he just got one.
Fourth down is coming up. Fourth down now for Florida State. 4 to go. They've called a timeout to talk it over, so we'll be back in a moment. 5:43 to play in the third quarter. Oklahoma 10, Florida State 7, and now fourth down comes up for the Seminoles of Florida State, and Bill Capice, their All-American place kicker, has set his tee at the 40-yard line of the Sooners. A 50-yard attempt coming up. His longest career is 50 yards. Hit him a lot longer than that in practice. Remember earlier he tried a long field goal attempt. Long enough, it was wide. Oh, they're going to run the ball. Look at this play. Straight ahead. Did they get the first down? They did. What a great play by Florida State. Kurt Unglaub, the holder, took off, went straight ahead, got some great blocking, and the hole was open.
Don, and what you do is you take a look at the films and you see somebody who's really trying to get a piece of that kick. It's an easy block for an offensive tackle and guard. Find a little ditch at the right time in the game. Nobody in the house, not me. I don't think you, and very few people on that playing field thought there was any chance this guy was going to go for it on 4th down and 3. As a result, it worked.
I assure you, I didn't know it was coming. You see it. Now it's going to be first down for Florida State. Sam Platt turns upfield. Sooners hit him from either side. The knockdown is made at about the 27-yard line. Running with the ball, Sam Platt making the hit. Michael Weddington, number 88. Playing the defensive end on the left side. Game clock down to 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Florida State gambling on a 4th down play. Everybody was looking for the field goal attempt from an All-American place kicker who could hit it from 50 yards, but Kurt Unglaub, the holder, a wide receiver, took off on a planned play, got the first down. Now it's going to be second down and 8 for Florida State. Seminoles trailing by 3 points. Third quarter. Stockstill throws. Tip ball was off the hands. Michael Whiting, and is open in the secondary of Oklahoma. Bring up third down and 8 now.
Would have been an awfully good catch, Don, but they've got to find a way to get underneath those linebackers. Defensive secondary's playing real deep. They're giving them a chance, but it's been very difficult to get anybody down in between them. Pretty well thrown ball, but a tough catch.
You see Stockstill's numbers. Florida State is 5 of 10 on third down conversions. This will be a tough one. It's third down and 8. From the 27. He's got a man out there. Ball is broken up. Sam Childers, the tight end, going for the ball. Ken Sitton, one of the defensive secondary men for Oklahoma, number 18, broke up the play. So 4th down comes up now, but with increased yardage on that run, a little bit earlier. Capice is coming out again.
Yeah, I don't think he's settling for a kick and a field goal.
Trent Barnes is the kick snapper. Kurt Unglaub is the holder. We know what he can do in addition. Boy, put a charge into that one. But again, Capice is wide, and so a good Florida State drive comes up empty. And with 4:24 left to play in the third quarter, the score holds 10-7 Oklahoma. And the ball turns over to the Sooners. They'll have it when we come back to the 1981 Orange Bowl with Oklahoma in the lead 10-7.
Oklahoma now has the football with it, but without their starting fullback, Stanley Wilson. What's the injury report, Stan?
Well, I got a bad bruise to my back, you know, and it's near my kidney, and it's hard for me to lift my leg up, so I couldn't even run.
They want to take no chance with it?
Well, I can't hardly even walk, so I know I can't play.
Okay, that's one cog out of the Oklahoma offense.
Well, they got some more left, Bob, and here is one of them, Buster Rhymes, but does he have a problem? But look at the blockers now on the other side. Buster Rhymes weaving his way east and west and ends up losing about 10 yards. Bobby Butler, the quickest player in the Florida State defense, finally caught him and threw him down. They like them both.
Yeah, Don, it's one thing for a guy to be a great threat, but when he gets the ball and there's good pursuit, and this play was made by Jim Harris, the cornerback. He's made 2 or 3 real fine plays as a force man. When you force a running back to go deep and wide around an end he wasn't intending to go, you're going to get a lot of pursuit on the play, and it's very, very seldom going to be effective. Now it is 2nd and 20.
2nd and 20. J.C. Watts has the ball, and Florida State was looking for it all the way. It's 3rd and even more. 3rd and about 24 is Jarvis Coursey, a junior from Gray, Georgia, number 64. Played a superb game for Florida State on defense. He made that knockdown of J.C. Watts.
All right, you talk about a team that's outscored it's allowed their opponents 21 points in the second half while scoring 193. That's Florida State. On the other side of the coin, you've got Oklahoma, who's 229 to 93, but only 21 points in the second half has been scored against FSU. And if they don't have a good series now, which it looks like they're having, they could get run out of the tub.
That's in 11 previous games. Here's a free ball, and Florida State gets the football. The Sooners turn it over for a 3rd time on the fumble. Reggie Herring was in there and gobbled it up.
Maybe that's why they've given up 21 points in the second half.
A big, big turnover there. In 11 games, 21 points in the second half. But right now, the Florida State offense is out. Beneficiaries of yet another Oklahoma turnover. 2:54 left to play in the 3rd quarter. That's got Barry Switzer pacing with reason. Stockstill goes to the run. Ricky Williams, who scored the only touchdown of the game for Florida State, comes inside the 15-yard line. On a 1st and 10 carry, he got about 3. J.C. Watts on the phone. What happened?
Well, they filed that nickelback defense. They're putting as many people as they can up front where they need them. And they have still held Florida State their passing game. And I don't think you'll see any more defensive backs than necessary in the future.
Great blocking from an all-senior interior line for Florida State. Michael Whiting runs now, fighting his way inside the 15-yard line on a 2nd down and 8 carry. He gets down to about the 13-yard line. Steve Whaley from Cleveland, Oklahoma, number 57, made the stop. Tom Brannon and Ken Lanier, the tackles for Florida State. Lee Adams and Greg Futch are the guards, and John Madden, the center. All seniors and all cohesive blocking unit.
Don, we've been talking a lot about the Florida State inside linebackers, but I'll tell you what, the Oklahoma inside linebackers so far in the second half have been outstanding. Mike Riley, number 50, and Mike Coach, 48.
They have. They're being challenged now. 3rd down and 5. Throw into the end zone. Man is out there. The play is broken up, but penalty markers come in from off the play. Sam Childers, the tight end, ran a pattern down to the goal line, broke wide. Ken Sitt came up from the strong safety position, and the flag came out.
In the end zone, right here. Hey. Defensive pass interference. White team for 1st down.
Ken Sitt played the whole play very well. Now, I couldn't see from my angle where he interfered, but that doesn't mean he didn't. I do know that Sam Childers, because of his aggressive play, going after the ball the whole way, created the foul. Call it the way you see it. I didn't see it.
Stockstill dives down to the goal line. Did he get it in?
Second down.
He did not.
Second down.
Be second and goal from inches out. 1:25 left to play in the third quarter. Clock running. Oklahoma in the lead 10-7. But now Florida State ready to come back into the lead.
Look, and when you take, as we look at this pass interference, Barry Switzer's over there getting his group pumped up. Look at Sam Childers, though. If he hadn't come out of his pattern, gotten after the ball, he could never have created the foul. I again didn't see it. It was called second down.
Penalty marker is down at the line of scrimmage as Florida State takes it in. Michael Whiting going over the top for the touchdown.
Motion, offensive right tackle.
There you hear it.
We got illegal motion.
Ooh, says Coach Bowden. Starts to hurt. Legal motion sets the ball back to the 6-yard line.
We got illegal motion on the offense. Repeat the down. Second down. That's right.
Okay.
Hadn't been easy on the ground in the second half.
It has not been easy. Now Stockstill calls his own number, puts his head down and dives down close, but he did not get in on second and goal from the 6. It'll be third goal from about 2 yards out. Darryl Sanji caught him. That's the 4th time that Stockstill has called his own number in a naked reverse.
He's what you call an all-purpose quarterback. He's an excellent athlete, has a wonderful timing with the ball, knows what to do. He'll give it all he's got. Hasn't got great speed, but I tell you what, he picks up the last inch of what he's got.
I asked him, John, if he was highly recruited. He said by one school, Florida State. Coach Bob thought I could play. Stockstill takes a look, throws, it comes in low, and it'll be 4th down. So now Florida State will send out Bill Capice in all probability. Or will they? 4th and goal from inside the 2-yard line. And here comes the field goal team.
I would also pick the field goal. Darryl Sanji made an excellent defensive play. Stockstill did not miss an open man. There was no one to throw it to. He threw it wisely in the ground.
So Capice from Miami, an All-American, is 0 for 2 tonight in his hometown at field goal attempts. Here's his 3rd. He's got plenty into it. It's up and good. So the game with 19 seconds left to play in the third quarter is tied at 10. Bill Capice with his 23rd field goal of the season. He set an NCAA scoring record for a kicker, 104 points this year. Tonight, following the local news on these NBC stations, The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson with guest Marie Osmond and Charles Nelson Riley will be seen. NBC Sports wants to wish Johnny and Ed McMahon and Freddie DeCordova and the Tonight Show staff a very happy New Year, and certainly to all of you watching a terrific Orange Bowl game from Miami, Florida, the 47th Orange Bowl Classic. Don Criqui with John Brody and Bob Trumpy. 19 seconds to play in the third quarter. Coach Bowden thought he had a touchdown. He had a man in the end zone, and Michael Whiting. It came back on a motion penalty. And then the Florida State Seminoles come out of it with points on a point-blank field goal by Bill Capice. Stockstill firing up his teammates.
I know he's a little disappointed that they didn't get a touchdown when they got the ball on the 1-yard line, but it was a break that got him down to the 1-yard line. 10-10 is just about the way it ought to be at this point.
Capice drills it in the end zone, and Buster Rhymes is going to bring it out. He's to the 10, to the 15. Look out, look out. He can go border to border very quickly. Buster Rhymes has gone 100 yards for a touchdown and a kickoff return earlier this year. There's a penalty marker down.
Grabbing the face mask on the run back.
All right, is that the spot, Bob? Right there where the ball's dead. Face mask. Here we go.
Forrest likes it. Tom Manning Tom Brannon.
Oh, he got a grab in the face mask on the run back.
Four of the officials are wearing Mike's Force tonight on NBC with 11 seconds to go in the third quarter. Oklahoma beneficiaries of a penalty, a face mask against Florida State. First down and 10. J.C. Watts gives off. Going through quickly is Chet Winter. Winter's a sophomore halfback, takes him straight ahead and into Paul Borowski, one of the two great inside linebackers for Florida State. Borowski and Herring, they lead the defense.
This linebacker play has been awesome. I mean, both Borowski and Herring have just been in at the line of scrimmage. It's one thing when a linebacker makes a lot of tackles behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, you sit there and you catch them. These guys have been aggressive. They've been meeting the ball carrier at the point of attack. Third quarter's over.
That did it. That is the end of the third quarter. The score is Oklahoma 10 and Florida State 10. And we'll be right back after these messages from your All-American middle guard, Ron Simmons. He can press the building, run fast, but right now he can't play.
That's right. And all that speed, all that ability to bench press doesn't do any good if you've got a bad ankle. If you've got two of them, it's worse.
So unfortunately, Ron Simmons is out, but they've got a great backup, a junior from Miami, and James Gilbert. Second down and 6 for Oklahoma on the opening play in the fourth quarter. J.C. Watts gambles and wins. Almost threw the ball away, but it was taken by David Overstreet, one of the senior co-captains of the Oklahoma team, and he gets ahead for first down yardage.
You know, Donnie, Keith Jones made a fine try to bring him down, but give Overstreet some credit. I mean, he's carried the ball 3 times tonight. All 3 times he's made something outstanding happen. First time 31 yards, the second time a touchdown, and that time to catch the ball at all was outstanding. Then he outmaneuvered Jones, picked up a first down, turned in a 12-yard gain from a 5-yard loss.
Overstreet can have the big day. He ran it 15 times against Colorado this year and gained 258 yards in that game. Watts throws long. Rhodes is out there. And a lot of people converge on the ball and on Rhodes, who was very doubtful as a performer tonight because of a deep hamstring pull. Quarterback for Oklahoma is down. J.C. Watts.
Oh, my.
Alfonso Carricker put the hard hit on him just as he released the ball. The backup is Darrell Shepard, Jr.
He really got a good hit just as he threw it down. It was clean, but it was, I mean, this is a very hard-hit football game. I remember Bowden mentioned it was a little lackluster. The turnovers didn't indicate what I considered to be, from looking here, the intensity of the first half. I think it was extremely well played defensively. And Switzer's very concerned. The man has run this offense for the past couple of years just as well as it's been run.
So Darrell Shepard all of a sudden is called out. No time to warm up. He has to come in a tie game. He'll be back in the 1981 Orange Bowl with 14:45 to play in the game. Well, we're happy to report J.C. Watts was up and walked off under his own power, but he's a little wobbly, taking a hard shot just as he released the ball by Alfonso Carricker.
Here's a freshman out of Ohio. He's in the ball game because he's an exceptional pass rusher. He gets there a little bit late just after the ball is thrown, but I mean to tell you, he gets there. And when he gets there, he unloads. It's a very legal hit. He hit him in the shoulder pads after the ball was thrown, or as the ball was being thrown. And here goes Buster Rhymes.
Buster Rhymes gets the lead block, and the freshman runner from Miami takes the ball ahead for the Sooners inside the 40. On a second down and 10 play, he gets the ball all the way down to the 37-yard line. Forrest Valora, the tight end, and big Louis Oubre, the All-American tackle, busted open the defense. A 12-yard gain and a first down for the Sooners as J.C. Watts, perhaps the most important Sooners, intended to.
I'll tell you, if there's a way that he can get his head cleared, he'll be back.
He's a terrific young guy.
In the meantime, the kid that's backing him up is averaging 12 yards a carry. Now obviously, possibly in the later stages, but still, 12 a carry ain't bad.
Right there, he lost the handle. We have a fourth fumble and a fourth recovery by Florida State. That'll happen so often. Alfonso Carricker, who knocked the other quarterback, J.C. Watts, out, comes up with the ball.
I don't think a coach can ask much more of a freshman playing in his first bowl game than to knock the opposing quarterback sprawling, come up with the first fumble by the next one, give your teammates the ball when it's 10-10. Fourth turnover for Oklahoma, none for the Seminoles.
And it starts to hurt. That has been the difference in this game. It's kept the Seminoles in the game. It's tied right now, 10-10 in the fourth quarter. 4 Oklahoma fumbles, no turnovers yet by Florida State. Stockstill, hands off. A quick hitter up the middle on a 1st and 10 play. The rushes to the 40-yard line. Let's find out about J.C. Watson. Go down to Bob Trumpy. Bob?
All right, gentlemen. J.C. sitting here with an ice bag on his neck and an ice bag on his head. J.C., if you can hear me, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm going to be all right, Bob.
You're going to be able to play anymore?
I'll be back.
What happened?
I don't know. I just took a pretty good shot. I'll be back.
All right. All right. He's going to be back.
At least he knew who you were.
He's trying to get a license number. He didn't know what hit him. Here's Stockstill back inside his 30, and the Sooners get the big rush from a senior from Washington, D.C., Keith Gary, number 92, and from Steve Whaley, the defensive left end. That takes Florida State way back into their own area, back to their 29-yard line. It'll bring up 3rd down and 17. Whaley's down. He helped make the tackle.
He's made a lot of tackles. This game, you know, you wondered how people got out of the first half without any more injuries than there were. When you play this intensely, as these two teams have, you just expect people to be down all over the field. And sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. They seem to be happening in bunches.
We'll be back at the 1981 Orange Bowl after this. Florida State hadn't given up a thing in the fourth quarter this season. You can see that. 96-0, they've outscored the opposition. You think they might be throwing here, John?
If they do, look out for Ken Sinton.
Swing pass goes out to Whiting, and Whiting gets ahead inside, outside the 25-yard line, about the 27. Johnny Lewis and Richard Turner were there to knock him down. Game clock winds on down, 13:34 to play in the fourth quarter. And the game is tied at 10.
Don,
you better
don't
credit.
Hit the kicker now. It gives them an automatic first down. Don't block below the waist.
Giving them all the information. Defensive secondary play has been outstanding for Oklahoma, and Ken Sinton specifically. This kid from Marshall, Texas. I guess they're all good in Marshall, Texas. Tittle's the last one I knew.
Here's Ron Stark punting. Jay Jimerson's letting it hop. Waved a fair catch and didn't go for the ball, and it's down at about the 36-yard line. A 38-yard punt by Ron Stark of Florida State. And the Sooners go back on offense, 1st and 10. A game tied 10-all, 13:05 left to play. A year ago, Oklahoma took over the game in the second quarter. Coming back from a 7-0 deficit, 17 second quarter points. They went on to win the game 24-7 over Florida State. This year it's been locked up. Now 10-10 with 13:05 to play. And J.C. Watson, as he said he would, he did return. He's back in at quarterback for the Sooners.
All right.
Overstreet really got stuck at the line of scrimmage, spun off it, got ahead for maybe a yard.
I'll get the ball.
Mark Masick made the stop. I mean, you have to handle a big tackle to make the stop at the point of attack when it's Louis Obrey, Terry Crouch. He did that and then got a piece of the ball carrier. No wonder nobody scored any points on him all year long in the fourth quarter.
But giving up a total of 85 in 11 games. Second down and 8, as you see, as J.C. Watts gives off to the fullback. Weldon Ledbetter takes it across the 40 to the 42-yard line. And Alfonso Carricker, the freshman from Columbus, making his presence felt.
The yardage is coming tough right now, Don, because even though J.C. Watts is back in the ballgame, I do not believe he's as clear as he was before he got hit. When that's so, you're not going to see him running that option as effectively if he runs it at all. Don't think the defense doesn't know that and plays accordingly.
Quarterback.
We saw the end result of his substitution coming in, fumbling the snap from center right away. Oklahoma turning it over for a 4th time. Their defense has played extremely well. They have Florida State held at 10 points.
Look out.
Watts has a problem, and down he goes back at the 32-yard line. Masick, 67, a senior from Wyandotte, Michigan, and Jarvis Coursey, the junior end from Gray, Georgia, lead the charge for the Seminoles.
Tell you, you just run out of superlatives describing some of these linebackers and defensive ends. Jarvis Coursey has made about 6 solo tackles tonight. He's been in on many plays behind the line of scrimmage. This is his first year as a starter, and he is held in there well.
Jarvis was asked, they asked some of the players where they'd like to spend New Year's Day, their ideal place. He said on the same side of scrimmage is J.C. Watson. Here's a bad snap and into the end zone. This will go for a Florida State touchdown. Jerry Butler, Bobby Butler, the All-American cornerback, gets on the ball in the end zone. It's touchdown Florida State. So this great defense that has not given up a point all season in the fourth quarter does the ultimate, reaches the pinnacle. Up there with the Snow Leopards, it scores a touchdown and puts Florida State ahead.
Tell you, Jack Stanton, the defensive coordinator for Florida State, said, if our offense can run the ball a little bit, we can stay close with Oklahoma. We're going to make something happen good defensively. Couldn't happen any better than it just did. But I tell you, just a little indecision on the point of the punter could have saved 5 points if he had done the right decision at that time. If he kicked it out of the end zone, it's a 2-point play, and they're back in the ball game within a field goal to win it. This way, it's a touchdown.
Capice hits the extra point. So now things are mitigating against Oklahoma. The Sooners, their quarterback injured but back in the lineup. And their punter losing a high snap. And Oklahoma losing the tie in the game as Florida State has taken a 17-10 lead. Bobby Butler sees a loose football, a defensive player's dream, free in the end zone. Touchdown Florida State. We'll be back in the 1981 Orange Bowl after this. This one broke the tie a moment ago. A high snap, but not that high, John.
It's one of those things a punter has to prepare himself to think about. He didn't know whether to pick it up or kick it. By the time he'd made the decision, the Seminoles were all over him. He couldn't make the decision to kick it backwards. He knew he was dead. He could have kicked it out of the end zone if he'd made a little decision earlier. Didn't make it. As a result, 7 points for the Seminoles. Tell you, they are tough to handle now.
Aren't they? And now they'll kick it off. Capice ready to drill the ball downfield. That freshman tandem of Ledbetter and Rhymes back. This is Jerome Ledbetter from the 1. 2 touchdown returns on kickoffs, but he gets very little from the Florida State coverage, as he is thrown down hard to the grass turf here at the Orange Bowl with 11:02 left to play in the game. Ernie Sims was down to make the play for Florida State. Bobby Bowden went to Tallahassee. People didn't want to talk too much about football after an 0-11 season. Now they got the whole town wearing garnet and gold. He's the biggest thing in North Florida.
And he's concerned. If you remember Nebraska-Oklahoma, the last game, see who gets down here. Oklahoma scores in the last part of the ball game easily.
J.C. Watts has got plenty left on a 1st and 10 play. J.C. Watts gets across the 25 and out to the 29-yard line. Reggie Herring was on the tackle, along with Mark Masick. Sooners with a long way to go, though, to tie this game. They'll have 2nd down and a yard coming up from their 19-yard line. Florida State in the lead, 17-10.
I don't think you'll see him running any option on this play. He got up limping a little bit.
He goes to Buster Rhymes. Rhymes a 7.7 yard per carry average. Might have took a late hit.
What do you got? Your spot's right up here. Face mask.
Dean, his spot's right up here.
That's where you want. Other way.
The big mark-off now for a face mask penalty, major penalty against Florida State. Ball is sent out to the 47.
You got a face mask and the defense. First down.
Let's see. We saw Buster Rhymes get spun around. We couldn't see whether he was held by the mask or not. You can see now, Jorvis Carsey got a little piece of the mask. That was it.
Get that mask. The head must follow. Spun him right around, but it's a 1st down. Here's J.C. Watts pitching back. Buster Rhymes is knocked out of bounds at the 50. On a 1st and 10 option play, the Sooners take the ball ahead for 3 yards. It's amazing to watch J.C. Watts run into a defense, people surrounding him, and then just flick the ball back to a trailing back. A gain of 3 yards.
And he's hurting right now. Yeah. I tell you, to be running the way he's running, the conditions that exist, however, dictate he has got to carry the show if it's going to get on the road.
10:05 left to play in the 47th Orange Bowl game from Miami. 17-10. Florida State's in the lead. 49-yard. First it is. Rhymes gets the ball and does well to get ahead for a yard or two. Right now we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network. 9:46 left to go in the game. That's how the 47th Orange Bowl stands. Florida State 17, Oklahoma 10. This is Don Criqui with John Brody and Bob Trumpy. Our producer tonight for NBC, Mike Wiseman. Our director, John Gonzalez. As the 47th Orange Bowl game, which looked to me on paper perhaps the best matchup of all the bowl games, is turning out to be that. Now the Sooners trying to tie the game and get in the end zone. Can't get it done. On a 3rd down and 6 play, Florida State shuts down the quarterback. Paul Porowski came up to hit J.C. Watts. And you're right, John, J.C. is playing hurt.
You bet he is, but those linebackers are not playing hurt. You take a look at 39, 53, and I'm going to add number 64, Jarvis Coursey. He's playing like a linebacker. He's been floating a lot all night long, and 3 of them have been in on virtually every play defensively.
Fourth down, Keeling gets a good snap, gets the kick away. It wasn't easy. They were coming for the block, and Butler almost had it. Takes an Oklahoma roll, and it rolls down to the 20 to the 16-yard line. You need that oxygen. All you can get. It's been that tough. 8:37 left to play. A 34-yard punt. Florida State gets the ball when we come back.
Okay, J.C. Watts is taking a beating tonight. He's once again on the sideline with ice on his knee from that tackle right there, and that's the biggest part of the Oklahoma offense, gentlemen.
JC's been a great one for 4 years at Oklahoma. And JC Watts playing hurt, and Oklahoma trailing in the game. Florida State, number 2 in the nation. A great defense, and it's been every bit of that tonight.
And they better do something offensively right now, or they're going to have to give the ball up in good field position. And it's not going to be easy.
Pitch back, and Ricky Williams, who scored a touchdown earlier, takes the ball out across the 16-yard line on a 1st and 10 play. Mike Coast, senior linebacker from Bartlesville, Oklahoma, made the stop for the Sooners. A lot of Sooner natives on the roster. A lot of Texans on that Oklahoma team.
You got it, and the Texans are playing exceptionally well. Where the offensive line for the Seminoles controlled the game in the first half, it's been the defensive line of the Sooners in the second half.
Second and 6. Handoff to Ricky Williams, weaving into the Oklahoma defense. Ricky Williams got ahead for a couple of yards to about the 22-yard line. Mike Weddington knocked him down. A lot of people wondered just what a Sooner is. Well, a Sooner, way back in 1889 when they had the Oklahoma Land Rush, was a guy who jumped the gun. Got in there early to stake out his claim.
It's a wagon, isn't it?
Well, a schooner's a wagon, but our man from Oklahoma here, Travis, tells me a Sooner is a guy who jumped the gun, snuck in and staked out his claim, John.
All right.
And a Boomer Sooner is a guy who took off right at the gun.
All right, I know it's an Oklahoma football team.
And now they have a problem with 7:23 to go. Here's a handoff to Ricky Williams of Florida State, 3rd down and 4. Williams puts his head down. Looks like he got there.
All right, y'all get up.
For those of you just tuning in, the Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson will be seen following your local news after the conclusion of tonight's Orange Bowl game, where the Florida State Seminoles lead the Oklahoma Sooners 17-10. Barry Switzer and his Sooners in the 8 seasons has been head coach there, have won over 90% of their games. For any coach in the business 5 years or more, he's the winningest college football coach from a percentage standpoint.
I think if there's been a surprise tonight, Don, it's been the offensive and defensive line play of FSU. I think Oklahoma figured if it held itself to 2 or 3 turnovers, they were going to move the ball effectively on the ground. They have not turned the ball over, any more than their average. They just haven't moved it as consistently.
1st and 10. Straight ahead, and look at this run by Florida State's Mike Whiting. Hit 2 yards into the Oklahoma defense, spins off, goes 5 more. Really popped then, and he still gets ahead for even more. Darrell Sunji finally knocked him down as Whiting gains 19 yards.
All right, from the blip again. Generally, you can see as Michael Whiting finds a little hole, there is some hole at the point of attack. This time it comes from the offside. The offside is generally handled by Ken Lanier and Fudge. The two of them made a fine hole on the offside, allowing Michael Whiting to come over to the offside and pick up the first.
Handoff goes right back to Whiting on a 1st and 10 play. He takes the ball from the 43-yard line of Florida State and advances to the 46. Lots of cream and crimson in the stands. Lots of Oklahoma fans here. Garnet, gold, and cream and crimson are the colors of Miami this week. It's been some week. We'll throw a party down here. Handoff going straight ahead and over the 50-yard line on a 2nd and 8 play. Richard Turner on the stop of Ricky Williams. Williams is big, but boy, he is so quick.
I know what they mean when they say Tom Brannon, the left offensive tackle for the Seminoles, is a man that goes unnoticed throughout the whole ball game. We saw him once on the sideline saying, "Mom, we're number 1." We haven't seen an awful lot of him in the game, but he has been a major factor. That time he just blew the defensive lineman Richard Turner off the line of scrimmage.
He's done that more than once, too. He's really coming off the ball. The whole Florida State line is they're running well against a tough defense. Look at Ricky Williams. Power football by Florida State. On a 3rd down and 1-yard carry, Ricky Williams puts his head down. He had some great blocking on the right side. Brannon and Adams and Madden the center, and gets a Florida State 1st down.
Hey, this is impressive. 3 first downs in the most crucial part of a ball game. They had the ball when there was 8.5 minutes left. Now there's only 5:20. They've got the people in the Orange Bowl standing on their seats. Standing on their seats? No, you can't do that.
Yes, you can. I'd want to be in Miami, too, if I was from Nenana, Alaska. Got a group up down here from there. It's got to be rough in Nenana New Year's Day. Ricky Williams takes the ball ahead. Not much there. Not much at all. In fact, the loss will be 4 yards. Keith Gary, the senior defensive tackle from Washington, number 92, made the play for Oklahoma. Florida State doesn't back away from anybody in the scheduling, that's for sure. Next year, on consecutive weeks, they play Ohio State at Columbus, Notre Dame at South Bend, Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh, and LSU at Baton Rouge.
Just another month at the plant, huh?
A reverse. Hardest Johnson gets the ball. There's a penalty. No, he kicks the ball, fakes the reverse. Ricky Williams kept it, and a penalty marker came down from off the play.
Ricky Williams on the fake reverse.
Mike Riley didn't go for the fake, made the play. And there's a hold against Florida State. 4:29 left to go.
Take it back. This is what? Charlie!
Yeah, that's right. He brought his flag up.
Can't see the marks here, but
umpire with his headset.
We'll do a little guessing.
No, you missed one marker.
One marker?
Yeah.
I can't see it
up here.
Up here?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is an exact science, don't you think?
Well, we got holding. The offense.
It doesn't make much difference when it's 2nd down and 29, but when it's 3rd down and 1, it does have effect.
Doesn't it? Here it is back now, the replay. Here's the fake by Ricky Williams.
Defensive back.
Exact science.
Nobody was biting.
2nd down and forever now. 2nd down and 29. Handoff goes to Ricky Williams. He gets the ball out to the 40-yard line. Keith Gary again on the stop. That signifies 4 Orange Bowls for that Sooner.
Is there somebody in it?
There is not. Man's taking some time off.
If he did it.
Your turn.
Look at this. Florida State, which couldn't run the ball at all last year and defensively couldn't stop the Oklahoma running game, has turned it completely around in 1981.
Credit the offensive line, Don. They have done a superb job against an outstanding defensive line.
And then Superior. Stock still has a problem. Keith Gary's running him down. That big guy can motor. 3:30 left to play. Oklahoma's going to get the ball back. A 10-yard loss in that play. And Jay Jimerson steps back deep for a punt return.
If they are effective with 3:21 left to go in the ball game, they held the ball with 8.5 minutes to play. Got 4 first downs offensively. They did their job, even though they might have to give the ball up in relatively good field position.
Now we're we're going to have a timeout called by Oklahoma with 3:12 left to play in the game. Renegade, the Warhorse. Bobby Bowden is a great speaker. He spoke at the Orange Bowl luncheon on Monday. Had the place on its ear. He's talking about last year. He said everybody in Tallahassee was calling him Sweet Old Bobby, Sweet Old Bobby. Everything was Sweet Old Bobby when they were 11-0. So then they came here and lost the Orange Bowl game to Oklahoma, went back, and he said they just went back to the initials.
And I tell you what, I think he did the best job of soft selling a #2 ranked football team of anybody I have ever seen. He kept mentioning that if they could do that, if they could do this against a great Oklahoma team, and he actually had people believing it. Now, you can't very often come in here and hide when you're the 2nd ranked team in the country and play the toughest schedule. For some reason, most observers thought that at the line of scrimmage, the Seminoles would get pushed around. That just hasn't happened. Don't think Bowden bought it for a minute, all right? Oklahoma is an outstanding football team. You don't run the ball for 242 yards against the Sooners unless you've got some great offensive linemen, and their defense has shown what it's been doing all year.
I don't know what switch it is now.
Certainly would like to thank the officials for their cooperation in the NCAA. It's added a great dimension to the game, which has been a really terrific football game. I think you'll agree with Florida State in the lead 17-10.
That guy's got a pretty good sized hat, but I don't think his head will fit if they go on and win this ball game.
There'll be some more partying here in Miami. It's been a great week. Orange Bowl people treat you about as well as you can be treated. Something this whole community gets behind. It's an awful lot of fun to be a part of. We had a great group down from NBC, Erwin Siegelstein, the president of NBC Television, Bob Mulholland, the president of NBC Television Network, Jeff Mason, all here for a week of good times with the Orange Bowl people and culminating in a great football game.
I'll tell you, Nick Crane, Ben Benjamin, Frank Callahan, these guys put on a host show for the whole week. And this baby, it just led up to one of the finest. This is one of the finest college football games that I have seen. And I am one who generally likes to see that ball thrown all over the football field. But the intensity, the involvement, the excellence on defense is easily appreciated. And not often do I admire it. But tonight, it's just been outstanding.
It has both defenses. You cannot say enough about them. Oklahoma's defense really has given up only 10 points. You recall the one touchdown, the go-ahead, was on a bad snap. Not really that bad, but it went into the end zone. And now a kick rolls way downfield. Oklahoma's going to get it back. But they'll have them 79 yards to go to get to the end zone of Florida State. A 48-yard punt by Ron Stark, the All-American punter from Florida State. 3:19 left to play, but it's a long way from over. Oklahoma looking for the big play. The Sooners will be going 1st and 10 when we come back to the Orange Bowl. Bobby Bowden, the Florida State coach, said when Oklahoma doesn't fumble, they don't lose to anybody. Well, tonight they fumbled 4 times. They've lost 4, and Florida State has capitalized on Oklahoma mistakes, John.
They have, but they've lost 4 balls a lot of times. 3:19 to play. If you watch Nebraska play Oklahoma, the score was within a touchdown. They came back and scored. If I had somebody to bet on, it'd be these fellas. They just picked up 7 yards on 1st down.
They can ignite and go the distance on one play. They have the great speed in their backfield. I'm likening them to quarter horses coming out of the gate when that ball is snapped. The wishbone offense. Here's Porowski, who's played a fantastic game at linebacker.
He started fast and he's still flying. That's a quality you just can't admire enough.
J.C. Watts has a problem, and coming up to make the play was Arthur Scott, one of the defensive ends. Jarvis Corsi, Mark Masing, Simmons and James Gilbert, Gary Futch, Alfonso Carricker, Arthur Scott. All of these defensive linemen playing superb football for Florida State, as have the linebackers, Borowski and Harry. Secondary, James Harris, Monk Bonasorte, Keith Jones, and Bobby Butler. Butler hit the heights tonight to cover that fumble snap in the end zone for the go-ahead touchdown.
I think it'll be interesting here whether Oklahoma will elect to go for a 1st down are on 4th. They've got 2 downs to make 10 yards. I really think that goes into the discussion right now with 2:37 left to play. If they get a good gainer on 3rd down, if they pick up 7 or 8 yards, I think on 4th down and 3 or 4, they'll have a go at it. They've got 2 timeouts left. They're 5 of 13 connecting on 3rd down conversions. It's not a high percentage, but I do believe if they get close, they'll have a go at it.
2:37 left to play. This, of course, culminating the college football season, the big bowl day. And the victors earlier today, Michigan in the Rose Bowl, which no doubt you saw here on NBC. And congratulations to the Dogs of Georgia, their victory over Notre Dame as they win the Sugar Bowl. Alabama rolls to victory in the Cotton Bowl today, and now with 2:37 left to play, number 2 ranked Florida State leading Oklahoma 17-10. Who is number 1? The Dogs of Georgia?
Listen, anybody can make a claim. It's the team that goes undefeated. When Arizona State was 12-0, they didn't get there. I think Georgia came into this ball game number 1. It's close. Florida State has impressed me, something I didn't expect to see, really.
Watts throws. Steve Rhodes catches the ball. It's a foot race. Rhodes has the hamstring pull. He'll have a problem, but he does get down to the 35-yard line. A great play by a young man who was not expected to play. 42 yards, and we talked about the Sooners and their ability to strike fast, and they do here. 2:26 to go.
What a great catch. This kid comes up injured. All of a sudden, you know he walked up to Barry Switzer and said, "Coach, let me have a go at it. I'm not saving my leg for anything special." This means a little bit to all of us. He went in, not only ran a fine pattern, but took the ball away in the crowd. That's a fine catch. Puts him in field position.
JC's going to let it rip again. He's got the long one going. It's a little bit too long. As streaking down the far flank was the freshman sprinter Jim Rockford.
And you notice Rhodes had to come out of the ball game. His leg will not let him go deep for the ball. He got one play out of it. Now let's take a look at the reception he did make. He ran down about 25 yards, went to the outside, got away from the defensive back. Had his leg been well, he may have been gone.
That's right. He had the defense to step on him when he got the ball. He had to take it away from a defender. Watts has put the ball up 9 times in the game, completed 5 for 106 yards, but you'll be seeing him pitch down the stretch here with 2:11 left to go. It's 2nd down and 10 for Oklahoma. Sooners are down by 7, 17-10. 2:10 left to play. Watts throws, man is open. He's got Chet Winters. And Winters puts a move on, dekes his man, and gets it down to the 22. It's a first down for Oklahoma, a 14-yard gain on the play.
You know, that's what goes unrecognized is some of the pass catching ability of the backs from Oklahoma. They don't throw the ball, so you don't know whether they're good pass receivers or not. That man took that ball like it was an extension of his arm, got away from a linebacker, and almost beat 2 more to get free.
There is, of course, in the event of a tie game, no overtime in college football, but there is the option for the 2-point conversion. You know, if Oklahoma gets in, they'll be doing that. It's intercepted and lost. Florida State's Gary Futch had the ball, was looking at the end zone, way downfield, 70 yards away. Whether he got in there is questionable, but he could have had an interception.
Well, those balls look so easy to catch, but you take a defensive tackle who's involved in the totality of the ball game, you think he could put it away, but he's wearing great big old gloves. That ball goes anywhere it wants to when they get their hands on it. Look at Jim Gilbert down on the bottom of the pile, forcing Watts to throw.
1:48 to go. It's 2nd down and 10 for the Sooners. Watts sends the rollout, stands in, eludes the rush. J.C. Watts has a channel. He gets a great block, and Watts is out of bounds at the 11-yard line. Terry Crouch, a 275-pound guard, literally put a Florida State defender flat on his back, and that gave J.C. Watts the room to go 11 yards. And the Sooners drive on. They could be going into the end zone, and then they'd go for 2 to try to get the win with 1:38 to play now. What a game.
Just a man like J.C. Watts can make that play happen. Defensively, the play had no chance. Watts got out from 2 or 3 tacklers, outran the pursuit, picked up a first down. They've got 1:38 left to play. They've still got a couple timeouts remaining. They got all the time they need to do whatever they want, but they've got to get it here. I don't think they'd go for a tie if they do get it.
Coaches get old. This does the aging. There's a throw. Oh, man, it was almost an interception by Jarvis Coursey. There was a Sooner, Jim Rockford, open in the end zone. The pass came in a little low. And Jarvis Coursey, defensive end who drops back like a linebacker, Almost had it.
That would have topped off one of the finest performances that I've seen in the Orange Bowl from what is considered to be a steady, everyday, do-your-job yeoman football player. This guy has been truly outstanding. He's been in the right spot all night long, and he came up with a fine defensive play, did everything but get the ball.
.133 left to go. It's 2nd down and 10. Here's J.C. Watts with the throw, and a man has the ball in the end zone for a touchdown. Steve Rhodes gets it. He came back in. He wasn't supposed to play. He caught the 42-yarder, went out again with a hamstring, and J.C. Rhodes hurt, but fighting back. And Steve Rhodes and J.C. Watts hurt just as badly earlier in the game, fighting back himself. And they get Oklahoma in the end zone, and now with 1:27 left to play.
You can see they caught the Seminoles in a little bit of a mix-up defensively. They were caught right at the snap of the ball. They fast huddled them. They got up. Rhodes ran a fine pattern. J.C. put the ball where it had to be thrown because he couldn't have put a lot on the ball. He had to take enough off because you see Bobby Butler's in a pretty good position. He's got to leave it out there, let it hang a bit. Rhodes comes up with the ball. They're not going for any 1 point. Final act.
Rhodes there going for 2. 1:27 to go. The football game could be on the line with this play. J.C. rolls out. Man is open. Oklahoma takes the lead as he hits Forrest Valora, his tight end. What a great, great drive. What a football game this is.
Don, that is the first time anyone has scored in the 4th quarter all year. With 3 minutes to go to end the season, it's only a team like Oklahoma that could put on a show like that. Give J.C. Watts credit. Give Rhodes credit. Give the whole group of Oklahoma Sooners credit because they kept their composure. That's a very hard thing to do when all the ground is going nuts. These guys have, and the game isn't over yet. There's still 1:27 left to play.
Here it is. J.C. Watts rolls out, lofts it high over the defense, and Forrest Valora comes down with the ball. He's made some big, big plays for Oklahoma. He makes one every time he tries to block because he's one of the best blockers in football.
Don't think that being a good blocker doesn't give you an edge because you can get out on those linebackers because they're concerned with you knocking them down.
Oklahoma rallies back, and Oklahoma takes the lead 18-17 in what has to be one of the great Orange Bowl games ever. Sit down and watch this whole thing back. It's been that good.
Kent! Hey, Kent! Where's Kent?
78 yards and 9 plays go the Sooners. 152 is all the time it took. And 127 is all that's left to play. The pressure's now on Florida State. Keeling, what's he going to try here? Not standing too far back from the ball, but he doesn't feed for a long kickoff.
He just shanked it, that's all.
Dennis McKinnon coming up with the ball, turns to the outside. McKinnon gets out across the 30 and goes out of bounds at the 31-yard line. There's Forrest Valora. Valora's going to be real happy.
They've got their own claim. They played great football the last 6 games of the year. A little mediocre early in the season. You can see why they think they could lay claim to number 1. When you start at number 4, you play the way these two teams have. I think they're all number 1. I don't run into that Pickett stuff, and I don't think that the Bowl should have a playoff. I think the Orange Bowl is an entity in itself. The Rose Bowl, you name all the great bowl games, they put an awful lot of effort into it, and I think each has its own individual identity, and that's the way it should be.
Well, I know this, John, if they put Georgia and Florida State in the same field, I for one would stand in a long line to buy a ticket if there were any.
You've got it.
We remind those of you who might be tuning in that The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson will be seen after local news from your local NBC station. Right now, let's go back down to the sidelines to a great comeback player, J.C. Watts with Bob Trumpy.
All right, gentlemen, for 3 quarters, J.C. Watts on the bench with all kinds of injuries. He is ecstatic right now. J.C., you happy?
I love it, Bob. I love it, baby. We came back. We're showing the people what kind of team we got. Hang on, defense. Get it, dude. We're showing the people what kind of team we got, baby. Bring on Georgia.
Bring on Georgia, you say.
Bring them on,
and the quarterback is down now for Florida State. Rick Stockstill injured an ankle. He's up and trying to walk it off. You have to put a hammerlock on him to get him out of the game. The Sooners since 1950, 5 national championship teams, 2 under Barry Switzer. 1973 into 1975, the Sooners went 37 games without a loss. Now back down to the sideline, Bob.
JC, co-MVP with Corsi from Florida State University, defensive.
Oh, God! Thank you.
That's 2 straight, man. What's next?
Oh, God, I don't know, boy. It's great. It's not over yet. We still got minute 16 seconds left. We got to get these 16 seconds off the clock. Come on, defense. Oh, no. I sure what? My Bell's laundry. My mom and daddy. All of you follow. Come on, defense!
He might be as big as the Selman brothers in Eufaula.
Here comes
Jarvis Corsi of Florida State.
Let's find
is the other co-MVP. What a brilliant game he's played. But this one isn't over yet. 1:16 left to play. Oklahoma driving for a go-ahead touchdown with the 2-point conversion, leading 18-17. And now they've taken out Stockstill and put in his backup Kelly Lowry. Hands off to Sam Platt. He's stung as he goes down by Sitten and Richard Turner. And the game clock is down to 1:09 to play and stopped by a timeout for Florida State. Here's Kelly Lowry. He's actually in his 2nd year at Florida State. He has redshirted injuries as a freshman. Big quarterback, good runner.
Now, Rick has not been injured all year long. He's been able to get out there whenever they needed him in a tight spot. He's not got his druthers right now, and Lowry has got to put the ball up in the air. Remember, Florida State has 1 timeout left. Oklahoma has already used all of theirs. Now they're putting in Rick again. I guess if they have a shotgun formation, they would use it. I do not know if they have one, but the problem with Stockstill dropping back to throw right now is he can put no weight on his right ankle. We mentioned he had an Achilles problem early in the week. Seems to have come back on him right now. If he can find a way to move this ball down the field, he may be my new Superman.
And now back down to the sideline with 1:09 to play.
All right, the running team. Steve Rhodes comes up with the big catches. Congratulations, pal.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. That's what we try to do, is make the big play. I was fortunate enough I get to.
Now, were you not supposed to be able to play tonight at all?
No, sir. I hadn't practiced since I practiced the first day and pulled a hamstring. So this is the first time I've been suited up since we've been here, and I just feel real fortunate.
Back to live action.
Stockstill is back in. He stands in and he throws. It's completed, but for a loss of yardage. Back to the 29-yard line with 1:01 left to play. Now down to 57 seconds in running. Minus 2 yards on the play. So what looked up until the closing minutes to be a great Florida State victory has now turned to Oklahoma.
And this case is not closed yet, Don. It looks dim, but it's not closed.
42 seconds left. Time is called, and we'll be back with the concluding seconds of one of the great bowl games ever right after this message. Phil Williams there, 87, just cut a ball downfield for a Florida State first down, a 17-yard gain, and 37 seconds left to play.
Remember, a field goal is all they need.
That's right. They're down by a point as Florida State. Stockstill, timing pattern, looks, throws in the flat to Ricky Williams.
Get out of bounds, Rick.
Oklahoma keeps him in bounds. He's down to the 46-yard line, and a timeout is signaled for and allotted with 25 seconds to play.
It's not a timeout.
No.
It's a move the chain. They're holding the clock up, so they better get ready. He was fortunate he picked up a first, so they moved the chain, saved about 12 seconds.
There's Bill Capice, the kicker from Florida State. Stockstill throws against the man. It's
they better get it up.
45-yard line.
Get on the line of scrimmage.
Clock is running. 14 seconds, 13 seconds, 11 seconds.
Can they kick 163 yards?
They better get a play off.
Better get the
4
ball
seconds. Game clock down to 2 seconds. The official calls a timeout. Let's see what's happening.
Just withhold 5 seconds. Let's not go through all that. Just tell them you go count 5 before you start the clock. We're going to be all right. Just tell them you go. How you going to have it, Gene? I'll go the whole way.
seconds and when they start it. They're going to start the clock. And he better get it off because he's not going to wait till the snap of the ball.
5 seconds.
No.
This will be a 62-yard attempt. He can kick it that far.
Well, we saw Willie kick 153 that could have gone 65.
We're going to put 5 more on there, 5
seconds total.
There's going to be some people doing full gainers out of the upper deck if this goes through.
They're going to put 5 more seconds on the clock, they said. I think they're going to put 5 altogether on the clock. We'll see what they do.
While we have a moment, our special thanks to the executive producer of NBC Sports is Don Ohlmeyer, coordinating producer of football Ted Nathanson. Tonight's game produced by Michael Wiseman, directed by John Gonzalez, technical director Horace Ruiz, halftime producer Randy Wands, associate director Richard Klein, associate producers Bill Peters and Glenn Adamo, production manager John Wendell, and now we come down to the last play. The ball is kicked. It's on the way. It's going to come up short. And the game clock winds out. And the Oklahoma Sooners, for the 3rd time in the last 4 years, or actually the 4th time in the last 5 years, win the Orange Bowl. Now let's go down to the sidelines to Bob Trumpy. I don't know if he can talk.
That's all right. That's all right. What do you think? That's got to be one of the greatest Orange Bowls ever played, Barry.
Super. Our offense nearly gave it to them, and they came back and won it. It's just unbelievable. Great finish. NBC's got to love it. It's a great finish.
That's right.
What a game it was. Our thanks to spotters Ned Smith and Travis Lawrence, to NBC statistician Steve Dance, and to all our NBC crew for a great night of football. The 47th Orange Bowl game, the Oklahoma Sooners with one of their great come-from-behind victories ever. They win the game coming from behind in the closing minutes, 18-17. Now for John Brody and Bob Trumpy, this is Don Crookie. A very happy new year and a great 1981. Now stay tuned for the Tonight Show, following your local news over most of these NBC stations. On the West Coast and Mountain Time Zone stations, the Tonight Show, starring Johnny Carson, will be seen at its regularly scheduled time.